Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Games Done Quick Hot Fix on this fine Friday evening. Thank you for being patient with us. This is the one challenger approaching show every year where everything is super involved. Usually it's just one game and one runner, but tonight we have a very special stream for you all. But before we get into all that, I'm just going to do some quick announcements here. Frame Fatales will be having its next all-women speedrunning event, Flame Fatales, from August 21st to the 27th. The marathon schedule is now out. Type !FF in Twitch chat or go to gamesdonquick.com/framefatales for more info. Prize submissions are open now until Sunday the 14th. Check the site for more information. And One and Doneathon is coming up this weekend, starting tomorrow and runs through Sunday. It is a marathon where you can show off your favorite run, and that's your only appearance ever in the One and Doneathon series. The schedule is out now. Use !OADAT. That's not complicated at all in Twitch chat to learn more. But everybody, tonight, we have on the Ocarina of Time Bingo Tournament. This is very exciting. Bingo is very near and dear to my heart, and I'm very, very happy to announce two excellent bingo players in their own right. They'll be joining me on commentary this evening, Shaggy and Mutant. How are you both doing?
I'm doing great.
Excellent. Oh, yeah. Yeah, doing good. You said excellent, but that flatters me.
Yeah, I feel very flattered.
Well, you should. You should, of course. But yes, we will be breaking down the two matches you'll be seeing this evening. Our first match will be between Link 11 and Apasher. And they are also two wonderful bingo players. And this is round 4 of the Ocarina of Time Bingo Tournament. So the tournament has been in a Swiss rounds sort of setup where people have been playing each other in sort of a rotating format. There were 50 entrants into this tournament, and we are down to the wire here. This is the last round before the top 16 bracket is set. So winning here actually means a lot. So it's going to be a pretty exciting race. And with that, I think we're probably ready to take things away here, honestly. So let the race time users know in a second here. And if we could switch the layout, then let's get this show on the road. Shaggy, Mutant, you two ready?
I'm ready.
Ready as I'll ever be.
Awesome. So just some quick information really quick, very briefly before we get started. On screen in a moment, you will see a bingo board. Do not be confused by this. This is a very normal thing that will be happening in these races. The bingo board is a randomly generated card of 5x5 Ocarina of Time goals that might be like, do this many Skulltulas, kill this many bosses, things like that. And the players will be picking one row, column, or diagonal from this card that they like the best, that they think is the fastest, fits their play style. And the first player to get a bingo, i.e. complete a row or a column fastest, wins. So this is just a sample board you're seeing in the bottom left of your screen right now. It's just one randomly that I pulled up. I believe it was one of the last tournament races. That's where I pulled it from. But I'm going to go ahead and deafen our combatants here. And I'm going to let them know in the race time that they are ready to go. You can start whenever. Boom. Okay. And they are readying up. And time will start in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. It's a really long countdown. 2, 1, and go. All right. And I'm pulling up the new board. Okay. And I will post a link to the board in the GDQ Twitch chat so everybody can take a look at it. And Mutant and Shaggy, I'll send it to you as well. And let's talk about it. Let's talk about this board. Tell me what you like.
Right. I mean, I can go first, I guess. So silver scale in the middle. It's always interesting to have these sort of basic goals in the middle to see if anyone can sort of leapfrog off them into the other goals. Silver scale is not what I'd call something that easily links into other stuff. It's quite far out of the way. It requires you to go to Zora's Domain as child, which we'll get into a bit later, I guess. It's not usually that good for a bingo. You want to use sort of set routes to get started, and it's not usually great. But if there's other stuff that it links up with, some other Zora's Domain goals, it could be interesting. Thoughts, Shaggy?
So when I'm picking rows, I like to look at the longest goals on the board and then try to look at rows and see if there's something I want to do within the sort of base my row picking around the longest goals. So I look at sort of something like column 5. I see 10 songs and 9 hearts. So I know there's your 2 long goals right there. The rest of them are fairly trivial. So 10 songs and 9 hearts are both fairly comfy goals that aren't too hard to handle. So that's a row that I could see players picking. There's also elemental arrows on the board, which is another long goal that's not that hard to deal with. Again, it shows up with hearts if you look at row 3. Well, hearts and songs if you look at row 3. That could be something else we'll go for. There's only one Saria's goal on this board, the Green Gauntlets, which I know a lot of people don't like. So there's a lot of options. Some of the tougher goals I see on this board, Zora Domain Skulls and Gerudo Valley Skulls, I know are kind of tough to handle. A lot of people like to avoid those just because there's a lot of potential for time loss. Shadow Skulls is another really comfy goal up in the top left. I could maybe see column 1 as well. Some people really like full equipment, and it's not too bad. I don't know, what row would you go with me? Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Ed.
No, I was go ahead. No, you're fine. You can take it. I was just going to say we have a row choice from Apasher. It looks like Apasher has chosen column 5, and Link also just chose row 5.
Okay. Yeah,
so we've got column 5 and row 5.
I was actually going to say, ironically enough, I would have gone with Col 5 for 2 reasons basically, and we can get into the reasons why I guess later as well. But 10 songs is a really interesting goal. Primarily because it sounds really long, but it has a really standardized route that encompasses a lot of other things. And the 10 songs route gets you a lot of heart pieces, which is, I assume we're going to see the 10 songs with a load of heart piece route coming out from the Col 5 pickers. So that's what I would have picked personally. But I do see row 5 as quite a comfy one as well, nothing too difficult. But yeah, Col 5 for me is just, I think, the most comfy and quick row on the board, in my opinion.
Yeah, so we're going to see a lot of Trade Quest this evening, which is we'll get into. But yeah, we've got our 2 rows up, and I'm personally happy to see 2 different row choices because that means we'll see a little diversity of play. But something worth noting is that I believe both Apasher and Link play on VC. Is that correct? Or is Apasher on N64?
I think they're both VC players these days. I think Apasher used to be a bit partial to N64, but I think VC these days.
Yeah, so there is some version difference that is noteworthy that we'll get into if we need to. But again, for anybody just joining us, I'll just reiterate that this is vanilla Ocarina of Time. This is not a randomizer. And this is bingo. So the goal of this race type is for the players to attempt to complete a row, column, or diagonal on this card of randomly generated 25 goals as quickly as possible. And this is a tournament race in the 4th round. And we just saw Apasher escape from the forest, which is kind of a bread and butter bingo trick.
Yeah, a nice way I like to think about it is like with a rando, the game is randomized, but the goals are usually the same, so like beat the game or whatever. With a bingo, the game is vanilla, but all the goals and your sort of win condition is randomized.
Yeah, so already we're seeing huge disparity in the routes the players are taking. Link has opted to get a sword and a Deku stick, whereas Apasher has opted only to get a Deku stick. And that often means that probably Apasher's child segment will be shorter. You can typically break bingo races up into like, okay, here's my child segment and here's my adult segment. Typically these days the adult segment is longer, but then you have just real wild cards like Shaggy here who only want to do one of them.
I don't like doing the adult section at all. That is... But I wouldn't expect...
There are some rows... Right, you're probably not.
Yeah.
It is possible to do some bingo rows without ever going adults. It's called child only. Unlikely to see that from anybody this evening, as it is very high risk and often very low reward.
They've also
but
picked
occasionally
rows
it can,
where it's not possible, both of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like child only, the main benefit is that you get to skip the Master Sword cutscene, which is about 4 minutes long if you're mashing your heart out. That sounds good on paper. You don't have to sort of sit in a cutscene for 4 minutes, but you start to think about all the things that child A can't do, and B, even when child can do them, they have to do them so much slower. Like, even general movement speed, child's much slower. And then things like can't climb ledges. Some goals might require you to go to dungeons that are supposed to be off limits to child, and then child has to do a lot of stuff to go in, and it just starts to, unless you are very confident in a lot of very difficult tricks, you'd have to be mad to do child only, wouldn't you, Shaggy?
It is a bit more than just the Master Sword cutscene, because to take full advantage of being adult, you do need stuff like the hook shot and the hover boots and stuff that takes time to get that you don't need as child. But there's everything you have to do becomes so much more difficult and so much slower that very rarely is it worth it.
A very quick correction on my end. I apologize, gamers. I've been saying a pasher for Link's feed and vice versa. So it is Link on the left side of your screen with column 5 and a pasher with row 5. My bad. That was a misstatement on my part, but everything is just fine on the stream.
That makes more sense with their play styles. I was somewhat surprised that Link was going for Sarias, but a pasher, that seems more sensible.
Yeah, so what we're seeing here, we're seeing them both collect Bottle, and Bottle is a really useful item, both in a casual playthrough and in a speedrun, because a Bottle, we'll see later, is extremely powerful when it's not on your C buttons. You can do a lot of glitches with bottles, you can dupe them, you can put them wherever you want, but the main thing is that a bottle on your B button lets you get a lot of other equipment for free, basically. And to do bingo fast, you need a lot of stuff, especially songs. You'll see later when Link is not going to be collecting 10 individual songs. He's going to be cheating and glitching his way towards that goal. But a bottle is the first key to a lot of these routes opening up. And it's why in a lot of bingos, and I assume in the next two as well, you'll see that the main opener for a lot of bingos is escape, go to CAC, get the chicken bottle, and then they'll choose what to do from there.
Yeah, skipping bottle is pretty much unheard of in modern bingo.
Yeah, it was more common back in the day. These days, so infrequent.
There's just so much you can do with it that reverse bottle adventure is such a key part, and even beyond that, there's so many tricks that it's useful for.
Sometimes, even if I'm in a row where I'm like, I think I can skip bottle here, I don't, because I know halfway through I'm going to regret it.
Yeah. It's, I think bottle and hovers less so, I'll be honest, but bottle, if you think you can skip it, you need to be more than 100% confident, because if you get halfway through and, you run out of bomb shoes, or you need a fairy, or you need some bugs or whatever, you're out of luck. Like, it's the trouble of skipping it can really backfire. You need to be crazy confident in yourself and the row.
So we do get to see corpse push here, which is a exciting, relatively new trick that I don't know how to do.
It's quite difficult. The old methods. So what's happening here is a pasher is trying to get bomb shoes early, and bomb shoes, again, explosives in general, just really useful for opening up a lot of the game you're not supposed to be at. Previously, you needed a lot of equipment. You needed sword, shield, ocarina, and you do like a cutscene dive in the well. But just recently, there was a trick discovered that allows you to clip out of bounds using the dead body of this skull. But it is quite a complicated and convoluted trick, especially in like a marathon setting where you want to be really safe. So you're seeing a pasher do a lot of buffering here, and unfortunately fails it there. But he's gunning for bomb shoes, which is what this trick is all about. It's just very long and quite a technical trick. Under pressure, very easy to fail. So understandable.
Yeah, I think definitely worth noting is that this is a large audience for bingo, and this is a stressful environment in which to play a tournament match, and tournament matches are already stressful. So huge kudos to both of these players and the two players we'll be seeing later for even agreeing to do this. I personally wouldn't want to do my tournament match on GDQ. I know that's a little hypocritical given I'm running the show, but yeah, very, very huge that they're participating. So
yeah, props to
definitely
them for
check
sure.
out their Twitch channels.
Yeah, Link.
And meanwhile, on the other side of the screen, we saw Link do dot skip.
Yeah, dot skip is very standard at this point. Clipping through the door of time to reach adult early is something that, well, you do in almost every bingo. And it obviously saves a huge amount of time over actually getting the spiritual stones and opening the door for real. As to how you do it, well, there's a very small gap in the side of the door that you can clip into, and then simply work your way back in bounds either with a jump slash or some janky target shenanigans.
Yeah, shouts to the development team in 1997 or whatever for not looking at the door to check that it's on straight, because yeah, you can even if you don't want to skip past it, you can go up to the side of it, like use the first person camera, and you can see the gap down the side. It's quite funny, but wasn't actually skipped until about, I think, 2006, 2007, if my memory serves.
I want to say 2008, but I'm not entirely
maybe
sure.
2008. Yeah, around that period. So it took well over 10 years for anyone to find like a human viable setup, even though that gap was there, sort of tempting everyone.
And just as a testament to how much Ocarina of Time evolves, since then there are ways to get back and forth as adult, there are ways to get back and forth as child, several different ways to get back and forth as child. Just really wild.
And there was
Yeah,
a
and even
relatively...
recently.
Yeah,
Sorry, go
I
ahead,
think we're
Shaggy.
saying the same thing. The new lunge storage way to do it that was found relatively recently. So even today we're finding new ways to do it. Let's see if Pasher can get this.
Unfortunate.
Oh no.
Yeah, like I say, this is this trick requires a bunch of different stuff. So you need to the basics of what's happening is that he's hitting the skull with a stick. Now, sticks, if you hit a skull at the front, doesn't kill it. It just makes it swing in one direction. So he's hitting the skull and making it swing in a particular direction. Then he's doing a bit of movement to then kill the skull in a correct position. And then when it dies, it spawns this enormous this enormous hitbox. And Apache is trying to backwalk into the corner on the frame that the hitbox spawns to push him through the gap. And if that sounds really complicated, it is, because it requires this much setup to get it all working correctly. You need to slash on a certain frame of the skull shake. You need to backwalk on a certain frame of the skull death. You need to react to visual cues of how high the skull is. It's all there. If you want to look at like a single trick that kind of defines OOT, this is definitely one of the more recent ones that kind of does that.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's also pretty brutal because it breaks your stick, which means that if you fail it, you then have to reset to get it back, because the skull isn't there anymore. I think this should work based on my own visual cues. I think this looks good. Yes.
Yeah, nice.
Nice. Ooh,
Oh no! Oh,
Did you just void out?
That hurts so much.
We jinxed it. Yeah, so what happened there is he got the clip out of bounds, and then the entire underneath the bottom of the well is it has a load of water planes, so like the water actually extends really far down. But if you swim out of one of those water areas, you will just go out into the void, and that's what happened there. So he just swam a bit too far out of the water zone, and fell to his death. And that's really bad because he has to do the whole thing again. But
This is so tilting if it happens. Hopefully he can recover, because it really sucks to lose this much time right at the start.
Yeah, you've got to be very resilient mentally. But Link not having too much trouble early on. His early route was a lot more simple. He just needed to get Bottle and basically piece straight to Adult. And he's going to collect his first few items here.
Yeah, so Link is going to be doing the adult trade quest, which is doing at least part of the adult trade quest, which is the quest that leads up to Big Goron's sword at the end of it. Now, he doesn't actually care about Big Goron's sword, and he won't be getting it, but what he does care about are the intermediate items, which might sound really weird because those items are typically completely useless. However, they do allow a certain glitch that you'll be seeing to do a lot of cool things. So he'll be picking up the egg here and then hatching it as fast as possible, and then he'll be putting a bottle on B, and then some magic will start happening.
Yeah, so specifically what he's looking for here is because if you look at the goals he has, he needs 10 songs, he needs Quiver 40. And those on paper sound quite bad, because on paper you think, well, Quiver 40, that means he needs Quiver 30, which means he needs to get the bow and all that sort of stuff. 10 songs, he's going to have to go to a bunch of different places to get all these different songs. But luckily, as we alluded to earlier, the bottle kind of gives us shortcuts to that. And you need two things. You need the bottle, and you need specific items that give you shortcuts with the bottle. And the trade quest items are just really well placed within the game's memory and stuff like that. It's a load of background code in Magic, but they're just really well placed in the item tables to give you shortcuts to other stuff, including songs, stuff like the Quiver, stuff like Bomb Bag, which we'll see sort of Link. Link probably won't collect the real Bomb Bag in this, but he will be using bombs, which is something that's extremely lucky, actually. Coincidentally, the game sort of helps us out with.
Yeah, the basic gist of Reverse Bottle Adventure, or RBA, is that when you have a bottle on B, or in general when you have a bottle in your C buttons, and you change its contents, either dropping something or catching something, it will update both the bottle on your C button and the bottle in your inventory, obviously. And when you put a bottle on B and it attempts to update the bottle in your inventory, it doesn't work properly because you're not supposed to be able to put a bottle on B. So instead of writing let's say you catch bugs, instead of writing the bugs to where it's supposed to be, which would be one of your bottle slots, it'll write it to somewhere else. And that somewhere else is dictated by which item you have on C right. So for example, if you put Deku Sticks on C right, then it'll put a bottle, let's say a bottle with bugs, on your Deku Stick slot. And that doesn't sound really all that useful because you could just bottle dupe over Deku Sticks normally. But if you start to getting to the higher valued items, Deku Stick is item value 0, some of the higher value items will sort of overflow outside of the actual inventory screen and into other sections like quest status and equipment. And then it starts to get really powerful. And this is why the trade items are useful, because they're high value items.
Yeah, there's a really interesting category extension on the speedrun leaderboard for Ocarina of Time. It's called 37 Water Temple Keys, and it really showcases how powerful this can get, because specifically if you RBA, it's a fake bomb bag item, basically, but it's really far down the item table, and it actually corresponds to the Water Temple Keys. So you can just give yourself a bunch of Water Temple Keys just by sort of swiping bugs with your B button, and yeah, it's just writing to places in memory that you would never have access to normally when you start getting into those really deep item numbers. And Trade Quest luckily provides us with a bunch of those items. So things like the saw, the medicine, the cucco, the pocket cucco, they're all really far down in Link's equipment screen, which means that they start to write to places that normally you would never really have access to without a glitch like this.
One side effect of what Link is doing at present, though, is that since he's not collecting a real bomb bag, the game will never put quote-unquote real bombs into his inventory. Instead, he will be dropping with, or catching, with bombs on C right, likely dropping though, and then catching with Kajiro. So when he catches with Kajiro, the blue chicken on C right, he'll get a bomb bag into his inventory, which is great, but he never actually got any real bombs. So you need an item in the bomb slot in order to pick up bomb drops. And so it just so happens when you RBA with the bomb slot on C right, it puts a bottle in your bomb slot, which is good because the game says, okay, is there an item in my bomb slot? Oh, there is. Pog. Let's pick up some bombs. And so, yeah, the two checks are, do you have a bomb bag and is there an item in your bomb slot? So you can see him right now dropping and catching with Kajiro on C right, and then I guess typically I guess you would drop bomb, catch Kajiro, but perhaps Link has other plans.
Mm-hmm. So Kajiro itself points to quiver, bomb bag, and strength upgrades. So effectively what he did is those three things are stored in, well, bits of data, right? And so what he did is put fish into that specific set of data, which just happens to align with giving him Quiver 30, which is very useful, Bomb Bag 40, which is also very useful, and it would deleted any strength upgrade he got, but he didn't have any strength upgrade, so that doesn't matter. Because that is the other thing about RBA. While you can give yourself items with it, you can also delete items with it, which is relevant in some cases, which is another reason why you want to do it as early as possible so you avoid deleting stuff that you don't want to.
Also, Pasher has it.
He did it. Nice.
It's worth like this trick is really, really hard.
Oh yeah. Like I don't blame him for failing it that many times. It was very risky to go for it in this kind of setting. I don't think I would have, even if I knew how to do it.
It's like 8 frame perfect inputs or something.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
It's gnarly.
Like, I think. So I'll take my own example here. Like I've been playing the game for about 5 years now. This glitch was found, and it took me about, I want to say about 5 or 6 hours of just practice to get it like reasonably consistent. And like I'll still fail it occasionally. Like I'll still break my stick or like not clip. But it takes a lot of commitment and a lot of practice to keep this in the memory. And in these sorts of high pressure scenarios, it's so much more challenging. Like the stress does matter. It does make a difference.
Oh, very much so. But he gets to move on, so he can breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah, that's always. There's the moment like when you've been struggling with a trick this long in a tournament match. There's first the moment of, oh my god, finally. But then once you give yourself a moment to relax, you're like, okay, everything's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Just got to keep going. There's nothing you can do but keep going. It's always still finishable.
Yes. Well, sometimes not. But if you delete the wrong thing, and then save. But other than that, yeah. Well, you could always start over. You know what? Every bingo is finishable if you're willing to delete your file and start over.
Or just switch rows. You'll have something useful.
Very fair.
Yeah, it's always an interesting thing. So in bingo, you can if you pick a row, you're not restricted to doing that. If you mess up something and you're just really tilting, like I can't do this anymore, you're well within your rights to just completely switch row. A lot of the time, you will have put a lot of time into another row, but you can always switch. You're not restricted to just the row you first pick. So that's always an option for anyone that sort of gets into hot water, doesn't know what to do.
Link failing archery game.
Link failing
archery game.
And he's doing the rest of them just so he gets some rupees back. Because you could dump all your arrows and fail faster, but then you'd have to pay more rupees.
Yeah, if you only miss 1 or 2, I believe, they let you play the game for free.
Oh, no, he failed again.
No.
The VC aim, NA aim.
Yeah, so we should explain. So I said earlier that Quiver 40 might seem like a bad goal because the minigame wants you to have Quiver 30. It won't let you play the minigame without Quiver 30 first. But obviously Link hasn't gone to the Forest Temple and got Bow. But like I said earlier, with Kajiro on C right, Link gave himself Quiver 30 by dropping and catching fish. So the game's like, you don't have a bow, but you've got a quiver, so you must have it, right? So it just lets you play the minigame, and it will give him Quiver 40, even though he's never been to Forest. He just sort of wrote Quiver 30 into his item slot.
Link is just closing in the race for the fans.
Yeah. If you've seen a glitch exhibition for this game, you've probably seen what happens if you do this mini game with an invalid quiver of some kind, like a quiver 20 or quiver 0, where it doesn't give you anything and it has some weird side effects.
Yeah, I'd recommend going to watch a glitch exhibition for that one. I'm pretty sure. I think ZFG did one on a GDQ years past.
Yeah, I remember seeing
it's always a crowd. It's always a crowd favorite.
Just picking up guys at the archery range. Very normal.
Yeah. Long story short, you try and claim your reward, and the dude behind the counter is now just able to be picked up, and you just carry him around.
And we've got
Link
our first goal.
Marked off our first goal. So in classic bingo fashion, you click the card and it turns green. It's very satisfying. Your brain gets the good chemicals. And then once you've done all 5, obviously you win the race.
Nice damage boost there from Apasha.
Nice.
This skip's just pushing the boxes. To push the boxes, you need to wake Talon. Waking Talon is slow, and this is why bomb chews and explosives in general are great, because they let you bypass a bunch of different stuff.
They let you do so much.
Just skipping skipping the Talon wake up, pushing the boxes. It's all just it's all great to do, especially if you want speed.
So both players have boss keys in their row. I expect we are probably going to see the same sets of boss keys, do we think? Definitely fire. Definitely water for both players, I would think.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah. The third one might be a bit up in the air.
That might depend. So Link here is messing with his camera, and the main thing here is that he's getting a trick called timerless mushroom. Basically, picking up the mushroom usually has a 3-minute timer where you have to go and hand it in, otherwise it turns rotten and you get teleported back or whatever. Actually, you don't get teleported, do you? It just becomes Kajiro again. Or do you get teleported? This one
you get
No, you do.
teleported, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
do.
So what he's done here is he's said, I don't want the timer. I want to do some more stuff with mushroom. So you do a few glitches. Return A is one of them, and you talk to the guy with this active, and it basically gives you the item but no timer. And why this is good is because RBA with mushroom on C right sets your heart piece count to 1 out of 4. It doesn't give you 1, it literally sets it to 1, which is a blessing and a curse, because if you have none, you get a free one, but if you have, say, 3, it will literally just set it straight back to 1. And Link here, with 9 hearts, this mushroom route, where you RBA the mushroom a bunch and collect heart pieces in between, is a real staple of the 9-heart meta right now.
Yeah.
So what he's going to be doing, he's going to be doing what we call a triple mushroom, where he RBAs the mushroom once, gets 1 heart piece, gets 3 more real heart pieces, RBAs it again, gets 1 free one, gets 3 more real ones, and then RBAs it again. So he basically gets 3 heart pieces that he doesn't need to collect elsewhere in the game. So they're basically like fake heart pieces, but it just cuts a lot of time off him collecting heart pieces because he can just get them for free with Bottle and he jumps off the roof.
This has been like such an interesting development for long heart goals, I feel like, because before the meta was like, okay, can we in the mushroom timer get enough heart pieces to RBA it twice, using like Dampe race or whatever, to overwrite the timer, and now it's just become so like a very interesting new staple.
Yeah, it's a really good route.
Yeah, it works out to like 1 heart piece every 30 seconds or something in this early sort of section, which is kind of nuts. Like, you don't get that sort of economy from almost anything else other than maybe a quick boss here and there. Most, like with 9 hearts, sometimes you look at it and you go, well, bosses give you a whole heart container.
Oh, he changed the bottle. Okay, I thought he caught on B with mushroom on C right, and I was like, don't do that. Sorry, I did not mean to interrupt you. I was really nervous.
Scared me. But yeah, bosses, they can be good if you're going to them anyway, but usually they take a minimum of about 2 and a bit minutes. And that's the quick ones, right? There are some slow bosses in the game. So if you can get heart pieces in less than like 30 seconds a pop, you are onto a pretty wild route, and that's what the triple mushroom kind of has given to this goal, which is why I think it needs to be a bit nerfed in the next version, but I won't spout propaganda.
Yeah, it's probably does. Let's just say that.
An interesting property of the mushroom versus, say, other types of RBA, or other items you might RBA with C-Right, is that the mushroom, due to the way the heart piece values are rounded, which is like divide by 16 floor function or something for math people, the result is that no matter what you choose to catch or drop on the bottle, you will always just get one heart piece. There's no advantage to like catching or dropping per se with the mushroom. It's all the same.
Yeah, you only really have access to the lower 5 bits with RBA, so if what you're looking for is in one of the upper 3, then it's just always going to set it to 0. And the heart pieces are the upper 4, so you get the lowest one, so you get 1.
Yeah, if you could just RBA like 3/4 of your heart, then this goal would be like 15 hearts, no duping.
Yeah.
Yeah, or we'd have to just ban mushroom RBA or something like that.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it works, but it's not overpowered, so we can actually allow it.
Yeah, we should also mention here. So Matt, we said earlier that Green Gauntlets is a so-called Saria goal, and Matt is going to Saria here. But the reason for that is Matt. What am I saying? Every time I think Saria, I think Matt, because Matt is the Saria man, right? So Apasha here, Apasha is going to Saria because to get Green Gauntlets, you need to RBA Strength. So that's Pocket Cucko. You need to RBA Pocket Cucko while having Goron Bracelet. And you can get a bunch of wacky color gauntlets with, if you RBA with Goron Bracelet, if you RBA with Silver Gauntlets, if you RBA with Gold Gauntlets, you can get like green, blue, gold, is it brown gauntlets as well?
Bronze, but yeah.
Bronze, yeah, exactly.
And then
They do look brown.
Yeah.
Questionably bronze.
But Link has black gauntlets, actually, because he RBA'd Pocket Cucko with nothing at all, and that's actually useful because black gauntlets have gold gauntlet strength. So if he needs to do something that requires strength, he can.
On further inspection, also really quick, I really like column 5, actually.
It's great. I said this before, like, songs and hearts together are super comfy. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's just 2 long goals that both take you to very similar places. And then usually the rest of the stuff in the row is pretty easy.
Yeah, Quiver 40 is incredibly fast and in synergy for Trade Quest. And then boss keys and 5 skulls are easy enough. And 10 songs, you're going to have to go get Requiem anyway. So ice arrows are on the way. It's like,
yeah,
it's all working out nice. So with Pasher, yeah, he's going to have to get the Goron Bracelet, which is likely his next task. And like we said, he'll RBA as adult later to change that into Green Gauntlets.
Yep. Yeah, Pasher will go... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I was going to say, that's just what we mean when we say, like, a Saria goal. It basically, any goal that requires you to get, like, Zora's Lullaby? Zelda's Lullaby. And then go and see Saria. It's quite a lengthy process, and it's why a lot of bingo players kind of steer away from the, Saria goals in general. They can be good sometimes. I'm not a huge fan, and I don't think I would have picked this road because of greens, but that's just what we mean. Any goal that takes you to Saria, either as child or, if you want to do like a second child section.
Yeah, the reason why we talk about Saria's gold specifically and kind of meme about them is because they require Child ZL, which both takes a long time, requires guards, and is generally considered to be annoying. So that's why a lot of people avoid them, but they are very different from your standard trade quest route.
Is row 5 possible child only?
Green Gauntlets is not possible.
You can't get Pocket Cucko in any way as child?
No, you can get Kajiro, you can get Kajiro, Odd Mushroom, and Odd Potion, but you can't revert it to Pocket Cucko.
Also, first of all, hot beat.
On B.
But yeah, I was looking at row 5 and I was like, you can do everything here child only except for green gaunts, I think.
Yeah. It's the kind of row I would pick if there is no child only on the board. This is the kind of thing I would go for.
Yeah, as little adult as possible. I like it. Yeah, so Link there dropped and catch on the potion. Doesn't really look like a potion, it looks more like powder, but I guess that's what it is. And that when he drops and catches on that gives him Song of Time, but it also deletes Song of Storms. So you got to be really careful during this section. So the point is you drop and catch, which gives you time, and then you learn Storms normally. So with via the guy in the windmill is what he's just done. But if he drops now at all, he will delete Storms permanently because he's already got it legit. And if he deletes it now, there is no other mechanism in the game for him to get it back, which would require him to find another song for his 10th song, which would be pretty bad because the only other 2 songs possible are Saria's song and Epona's song, both of which require a sort of extended child 2, which would be really bad. But luckily people don't usually throw at this point, just something to be aware of here.
Yeah, most bingo players at this level, or well, every bingo player at this level is going to be very familiar with RBA traps. It's something you learn early on and usually don't forget.
It's a mistake you only make about 5 times. And then you will never ever make it ever again.
And no one would ever do it in a tournament match. Consultant.
Copium.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The call outs, unbelievable.
Yeah.
So yeah, this Poacher's Saw, this is the big mama when it comes to song RBA. Poacher's Saw gives you so many songs, and really useful ones too, because like some of the songs, right, like Song of Time doesn't end up being that useful, which is one that you get from Potion RBA. But Saw gives you Zelda's Lullaby, which is very useful, Serenade of Water, Nocturne of Shadow, and those are all really, really useful.
And Prelude as well,
Prelude, yeah.
The main kicker is ZL. The only other way to get Zelda's Lullaby is to go through guards, get explosives as child, all the rest of it. And the fact that we can get Zelda's Lullaby as adult alongside a bunch of these warp songs is why Saw RBA is a big staple of bingo, and you'll probably see it in the following 2 matches as well.
Yeah, and Zelda's Lullaby is useful just because it unlocks access to so many things. There are so many different things that there are no workarounds for not having ZL. In like Deep Shadow Temple, all magic goals, etc. There's just a lot of stuff that it's useful for.
Getting wrecked by the moblin.
Yep. Don't climb up too early. Okay.
Yeah, he's trying to get Minuet here. So 10 songs usually. If you do it as like all adult, you get every single song other than Epona's and Saria's. So that's all the warp songs and all the normal songs other than the 2 I just mentioned. So basically, literally everything that you can get as adult has to be gone, including Requiem, which is definitely the most pain in the ass song to get because it's all the way in desert. Luckily, there is some sort of synergy here in the form of ice arrows, which isn't obvious in this row, but it will come up later, so keep an eye out for ice arrows.
More bottle shenanigans make ice arrows useful here.
And a Pasha going adult.
Sub 40 adult.
Let's go.
Nice. Yeah, 10 songs can basically be considered a desert goal because you almost always have to go get Requiem. Alright, so where is Link gonna go next? Bolero for sure.
Yeah, Bolero. Yeah, I mean, all of this.
And heart
go
pieces.
ahead, Shaggy.
Yeah, I was gonna say Bolero and then heart pieces. The heart pieces in the area, then probably go to DC, do the DC skulls, or Dodongo's Cavern skulls. Shouldn't use acronyms.
Yeah, 5 skulls
Also-
in DC, or Dodongo's Cavern, as we're going to call it now. It's a really interesting goal because some of the skulls, it's a really interesting development choice. They are designed for you to go backwards through the dungeon to get them. It's like they're kind of like backtrack skulls that reward people that kind of come back later, which is a really interesting decision because not many other skulls are actually like that in the game, especially not in dungeons. So yeah, we'll see hopefully some interesting stuff to like go through the dungeon in reverse order.
Yeah.
So something I think that's worth bringing up is that, aside from the big swaths of tech that we've been mentioning, like, RBA and things like that are massive tricks, there's also other stuff. Also, that was sick.
That was sick.
Close call, yeah.
That was so sick. So that's timer Bolero cutscene skip. So Link died from the heat timer at the same time that the cutscene starts. And that allows him to get the song because the song is automatically in your inventory when the cutscene starts. And he doesn't have to watch the cutscene, which is great. That was really down to the wire. But there's lots of other little glitches happening everywhere. Like we saw Link do a mega flip a second ago. There was a ground clip from a mega side hop. There's lots of little glitches that sort of add up to your tech skill knowledge. But I think it's worth mentioning that if you're watching this and hopefully your first inclination is this looks really cool, I'd love to try this. You do not need to know everything right away. Like these are both players that have been playing bingo for a very long time. We're showcasing people at the top of the craft. But there is room for improvement for everybody, and we would love for more people to join bingo and to join us in this fun thing. We have weekly races. There's European Saturday Night Bingo and Saturday Night Bingo. Those are both obviously on Saturday. And those are both very worth joining just to get accumulated with, what is a bingo and how do I do it? There are also Discords to join. You can find the Ocarina of Time speedrunning Discord through the ootspeedrun.com page. That's a great one to join. And then from there, you can kind of stem off into other bingo Discords.
Yeah, I mean, I'd also like to say, like, if, because we're all quite seasoned, like, we see stuff, and it doesn't look, like, too spectacular to us. So, like Adef was saying, like, there's a bunch of mega flips, mega side hops. And to us, it kind of just looks like normal movement at this point. But if there's anything that we sort of gloss over and you want us to sort of touch on, then please do tell us. Because, like I say, a lot of this stuff looks sort of wizardry on paper, but to us, it's kind of white noise.
Yeah, it's become mundane.
Yeah.
Isn't that sad?
It is sad, but
we've lost our magic.
Tell us, yeah.
The glint in my eye when someone does a weird shot is not there anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you see anything, like, just say like, "Oh man, how did Link, like, I don't know, clip through the floor there?" Just like let us know, because to us it's just it's just part of the bingo.
No Doom Jump. Which is, I guess, pretty standard for 5 skulls meta.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Because you have to go through so much of the dungeon anyway.
No, is he doing it for the?
He is doing it.
He
okay.
is, yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right. So there's a trick coming up on Link's screen called Doom Jump, and I'll let the guys explain it for you.
Yeah. So die at the same time. Die at the same time you're hookshotting something, get launched in the air. I actually don't know much more about the trick than that.
That's basically what it is, isn't it? Like, if your hookshot hits something at the same time as you interrupting it with another action, a death in this case, as we'll see coming up, the game just kind of freaks out. Like, not really much more to say than that. Like, you'll see it coming up here. So what he's doing, he's getting in a position that means that when he backflips and dies in this lava, he's going to get revived, but he's going to hookshot target at the exact same time, which means that hopefully, if he buffers one more frame, come on Link, don't show up weak.
You can do it.
There we go. Hopefully, if this works, bang, there we go.
So I imagine what's happening there is the hookshot momentum is just getting transferred straight up rather than forward like it's supposed to be. But I wouldn't be able to explain the technical aspects of how that trick works.
Yeah, there's another one you can do in the graveyard that doesn't require a death, and I remember asking MZX once, and he sent me a big paragraph that contained the word cyclic coordinates, and I'm sorry if you're watching, I didn't read the rest of it.
So doing Doom Jump like that allows you to go through the dungeon backwards, which is actually how you're intended to get one of the Skulltulas over here. You're supposed to hit the switch and then leave and come back and use the platform rising up to get up here. Of course, if you opted to go through the dungeon normally, there is a way you can do a hover boost to get there, but he doesn't have hover boots yet, so that wouldn't work. Or did he get hover? No, he didn't get hover boots yet.
He hasn't got them yet.
He hasn't gone yet.
No.
So,
yeah, the main reason
I guess,
you come through
you
backwards,
have to Doom Jump.
Yeah, you basically do. The main reason you come through like backwards like this is because of this staircase. Now, this skull here was positioned perfectly here because you cannot reach this if the staircase is down. AKA, if anyone's played this game, you drop a bomb in the middle. The bombs do like a chain reaction. There's a cool cutscene where the stairs drop down. But that unfortunately makes that skull up top unreachable without glitches. So the developers intended you to open the shortcut after you'd lit the eyes and then come back to the dungeon later, use the shortcut, and get to that room without lowering the stairs, which is what we did, but less developer friendly.
yeah.
It is possible to do that room without hover boots from the bottom and get the skull. You just have to do a really slow bomb staircase hover up the wall.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, just bomb hover is always the solution, right?
It really is.
That's the way I'm used to doing things. You can't do this, just hover.
I mean, that's what... did you see the clip from my tournament match the other day? I couldn't... I mean, you're seeing a hover right now on
Speaking of staircase hovering, yeah.
Oh my god, the Dodongo jumped! Wow, huge. I failed the fire arrow super jump, so I just hovered over. It's the classic.
Yeah. So, hovering like this is a little bit complicated. So it relies on a glitch called ISG, or Infinite Sword Glitch, which if you interrupt a crouch stab at the last possible frame that it's going, then your sword's hitbox will be stuck on, and you can walk around and hit things with it. One of the side effects of that is that you can't fall off ledges, which doesn't sound particularly useful until you realize if something hits your shield while you're in midair, it will also not let you fall. So what you can do is gain height with a backflip and then have something hit your shield and you will stick in midair. And since bombs function as something that hits your shield and you can bring them out at will, you can increase your height incrementally with backflips, as long as you time them properly. So that's what you saw there. That's how he got all that height.
This is one of the many reasons explosives are so useful in bingo and all OOT categories. I mean, you may have seen when a pasher was failing the corpse push to get bomb chews in bottom of the well, maybe if you're not really familiar, you might be like, well, why doesn't he just do something else? The reason is because bomb chews were an absolute necessity. It was either get the bomb chews or do child vanilla, which is not an option.
I mean, since he has Goron bracelet, he could have just used a bomb flower to get bombs legit as adult, I guess. But
fair, you would have. You would have had to have watched
Goron
Zelda
bracelet.
Cutscene.
Yeah, getting to Goron bracelet would be much slower if you didn't have explosives.
And yeah, you can hover without bombs, obviously, since Shaggy mentioned, taking damage of any kind. You can hover off lots of types of enemies and projectiles. Just so happens that, obviously, since you produce the bombs, that is very useful. It is, generally speaking, less useful to hover off of enemies.
Yeah, it's much harder and much more limited in where you can do it.
Yeah, if anyone's a ZFG viewer, you might have watched him recently do Max % Child, where he does like an hour hover off a Gwei in the desert. That's one example of hovering off an enemy and why it kind of sucks not to have explosives.
Yep, the trick that drove me away from that category.
Yeah. Because, if you don't have explosives, you have to get very creative. And an hour hover off a Gwei is not what I call fun, but it is what I call creative.
Yeah. Okay, Link's gonna kill King Dodongo for the heart container. That makes perfect sense if you're already here.
Yeah.
The real huge brain strat is if you don't have explosives, but you still want to skip ZL cutscene, just have slingshot and shoot the guard thing, and they throw the bomb at you.
Yeah, I did that in my no explosives LOTAD. It was hell to try to make that work, and I would never do it RTA.
You just gotta have more courage.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shaggy, it's a bit of a courage issue, I think, on your part.
Yeah, not a skill
Probably,
issue, it's a courage
yeah.
issue.
Courage issue.
There we go.
So
I
as we
see
said-
people saying in chat boomerang is child only. That is not true.
Well, it's supposed
it
to be
is-
true.
Well, yes, in vanilla gameplay, that is true. But in Bingo, there are definitely means to use boomerang as adults.
Yeah. In general, if you can think of something that you think is restricted to one age, it's probably not. There are a few notable examples.
Like hook shot.
Yeah, hook shot as child isn't possible. Like you can't get if an area is like child exclusive. So I don't know, like Zelda's Courtyard, for instance. It's very difficult to get into Zelda's Courtyard as adult. I think it is technically possible, but
Yeah,
just
I've done it.
Not in a
Done it in max % adult. So yes.
Isn't it
But
like
yes.
a Froor's Wind wrong warp? Or a Death Timer wrong warp on a blue
Yeah,
warp?
you can do a Furor's Wind wrong warp from Fortress. You can also get
That's
to
what I
Market with Gerudo Archery. Both of them are terrible wrong warps.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, like, yes, things are possible, but you have to look at it in the confines of like a bingo race, where
Yeah.
things you might see in like crazy challenge categories, like crazy wrong warps and all the rest of it. You don't really see those in this because a lot of the time you're looking for something comfy, something fast, something that's hard to fail.
Yeah.
And
Tob
those
has
sorts of
done-
things.
I know Tob has done the wrong warp to Hyrule Castle as adult for Market Skulls before.
That's
But I don't-
ridiculous.
It lets you skip back in time, so like it.
Yeah, man. I mean, Din's Fire as adult is the one thing I think I might eventually look at, but it does look unfun. I'll say that.
It's rough.
Yeah, like Din's is one of the things in Bingo is like it's possible as adult, but you look at the goal and it's effectively a child exclusive goal.
Yeah.
Like a lot of those exist where it is possible as one age or the other, but it's effectively one thing just because of how complex it might be. Like if you don't have FW, for instance, in your inventory, then it's never worth it to get FW when you don't need it just for one goal, right? Like
Yeah.
you have to weigh that up sometimes.
I suppose one things we should talk about that I don't think we have is what tricks are banned in Bingo, because not all glitches are allowed. The two big ones are SRM, so stale reference manipulation, and GIM, or get item manipulation. SRM is banned because we don't want to balance around it. It's just ridiculously too powerful and would completely change everything. The rest of the bans, like GIM is banned because of version differences, and the other tricks that are banned, which are like using Deku Sticks as adults, I'm drawing a blank on the rest of them, but all of them are related to the difference between VC and N64.
Yeah,
Something I've just... Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to add on there. We like the version exclusive ones that we try and make it so that neither console is like has an outright advantage. So that's the main reason for keeping sort of version exclusive stuff kind of banned there. Not that it's like crazy busted like SRM and Ace, but it just makes it quite unfair if say VC can use sticks as adult and N64 can't, because that kind of forces you onto one console or the other.
Yeah, it
Hold
would
R
ruin
is
certain
banned.
goals. Yeah, Hold R is another one that's banned. Yeah, if you allowed sticks as adult, it would ruin certain goals because they would be, you either balance for them on VC and then you can't pick them on N64, or you balance them for N64 and then you always pick them if you're playing VC. So
Something that I'd like to mention too is like, you know, Bingo players like different parts of Bingo, I would say, but one thing that I think is universally liked and is definitely my favorite part is like the on-the-fly routing, the improvisational work, and like putting in the hours to understand routing to the point where you can like come up with something on the fly is really fun. And always finding out, like, you know, you do a race and then somebody in the community is like, I think it might be faster to do it this way, actually. So a question that I have for us to talk about is, would it be fast to go to claim check for Link and use that for a boss key in place of, say, the Shadow boss key?
Yeah, I've seen this. I've seen a couple people mention that over the last half an hour or so. So yeah, so claim check, and we said earlier we might see ice arrows in this row. So ice arrows and claim check both point to like dungeon stuff, I'm gonna say. So boss key map compass of specific dungeons. Ice arrows quite nicely point to water. Claim check, is it fire or
It's forest.
Forest.
Yeah, it's forest
Okay,
temple.
yeah.
If it was
so claim
fire,
check
it wouldn't
points
be
to
useful.
fire. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I think fire arrows actually just point to fire, which is even nicer.
And then light arrows point to spirit, I think.
Yes, that's correct.
Something like that. Yeah, that's correct. So yeah, you can do some more RBA to actually RBA yourself boss keys with those items. So
Yeah.
ice arrows, no brainer. You're going past where ice arrows are stored anyway to get Requiem. Claim check.
I think it would probably be worth it because you're passing by Broken Sword anyway. Then you
The
were
only
in
difficult,
DC,
I mean, you have
so
you have
could have picked
Bolero.
up. You were in DC, so you could have picked up the bomb bag to use as eye drops, and then you would have Bolero to get back there quickly after Requiem. So I think it's with the DC goal, I think it's quite worth it.
I think the one thing, though, right, is that it's so rarely do you trade past even Poacher Saw, let alone the Broken Sword, that, like, it was not something I thought of when I saw this road.
Yeah.
It was definitely just something I saw people discussing in chat.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
obviously,
not something I would have thought of either. But yeah, now that I think about it, it's definitely good here, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, armchair critique and hindsight and everything, not being in the pressure of the situation, it's easy to be like, oh, well, it's faster to do this. You know what I mean? But it's difficult in the moment to think of things like that.
It also only works because of a very kind of niche mechanic that maybe not everyone's going to be familiar with. So if you played the game before, to get the claim check for the Big Goron sword, you basically do this whole trade quest where you go to Big Goron, he asks you for medicine, you go to the lake, they give you some eye drops, and then you give them to him, and then he's like, oh, I can see again. Obviously that feels quite slow, but if you have a fake bomb bag from Kajiro, say, like Link RBA'd himself, if you open the chest in DC, it will still give you a bomb bag, right? But it has, I don't know, I don't really know the mechanics behind it. It doesn't give you the real one, it gives you a fake one. And it's a real item in your screen. It actually goes over the bomb chew slot. If you give that fake item to Big Goron, he treats it as eye drops. So you can skip a large portion of that sort of trade quest sequence just by tricking Big Goron into thinking you're giving him eye drops.
Yeah,
So-
you do need to have prescription in your inventory for that to work, so you do at least need to get up to that point, but it does cut out the last two steps of
do
the
you?
trade quest.
I'm not even sure you do.
I'm pretty sure you do.
I think I may be I don't think I've ever traded to prescription before.
Well, you get Giant's Knife, and then you give it to the Goron. He'll give you prescription, and then you show him the eye drops. I'm very confident
Oh, I guess
that's how it works.
he gives you prescription. Sorry, yeah, no, I thought it was from. I'm a hold arm main at the moment. Yeah. I keep thinking Frog is before prescription, but it's after. Yeah. But yeah, no, he gets tricked by the fake bomb bag, and he gives you the claim check, and you can skip a whole sequence.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of glitched items that work as eye drops, but the most accessible one is the weird fake bomb bag. The other ones need to be BA'd or some other shenanigans. All right. So we're going to see Bongo without doing boat key skip. That's not something you get to see too often.
Yeah, pretty
crazy
rare
stuff.
these days.
Yeah, so we said earlier that usually bosses, unless they're quick, aren't particularly great. Bongo is one of those bosses that is really quick to do, and especially given that boss keys is on the board, and be respectable to do that.
Actually,
So
Greg
what
makes
pace-
a good point. Is RBAing prescription also gives you a boss key. It gives you Deku Tree boss key, which does count as a boss key for the purpose of the goal. So that would actually be a really a strong route.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. That's a really big brain root. So the game, even though like Deku Boss Key doesn't actually exist like as an item, all of the main dungeons have like a bit in data for like, do you have the compass? Do you have the map? Do you have the boss key? And this is true for even the child dungeons.
Yeah, I believe it actually shows on the map screen. You can see if you go into Deku a boss key. So that's why it counts.
Yeah. So they all have them, and if you can just find the right item that gives it to you, it's there. I mean, it counts purely because if you look at the map, it says you have the boss key in those dungeons, so you do have it. There's no difference between having it in Deku and having it in water.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters that it's not a real item because it shows on the pause screen, so it counts.
Yeah. I mean, the real item boss keys in dungeons aren't actually items. They just set a bit in data. They're not like items that you have. So
yeah.
In reality, and as far as the game's concerned, they're no different.
Oh, he killed Bongo so fast by using infinite sword glitch. So he jump slashed while entering the room, which stores that damage. So crouch stabs are very broken attacks. They, instead of having a set damage value like would make sense, they use the damage of your previous attack. So if you crouch stab after doing a jump slash, it will effectively do double the damage that it's supposed to. And then if you activate infinite sword glitch by interrupting your crouch stab on the last possible frame, in that case he used Navi to do so, your sword hitbox gets stuck on, and then every single frame it is dealing jump slash damage. So you just stick your sword into Bongo's face hitbox and go to town, and he's dead very quickly.
I was watching a Pasher's screen and yet again thought it was Link's screen, and I watched him equip bomb chews over bombs, and I had a minor heart attack.
Yeah, that happens occasionally. My eyes flip between screens, and I kind of forget who's doing what. Yeah, if Link did that, that would be really bad, because we've been saying all along, like, Link he never got the bomb item. He still has those fake bombs the game sort of equipped for him, and then he kind of faked a bomb bag. So if he ever equips over those fake bombs, they're gone forever. There's nothing he can do about it. So he's doing, like, if you were sort of keeping attention, his inventory management gets, you have to be quite large brain about it early on. Later on, when you're sort of more comfortable with it, it just becomes like, well, I just will never touch my C left button. But early on, it's really hard to like not just equip stuff as you need it.
It would be so bad if he overwrote bombs here.
Yeah. Especially because he doesn't have bomb chews, so you have, like, that's an almost unrecoverable mistake. You just gotta reset to wherever you last saved. Unless you did it very late in the run and you were confident you could finish without explosives, which is pretty unlikely. Alright, and Apache is making progress on his full equipment goal. So, well, he's still got the big two items. It's full equipment looks like a very long, like, holy, you have to get a lot of stuff. But there's only really two items there that take any significant time, which are Mirror Shield and Iron Boots. The rest are quite trivial.
Yeah, so Kokiri Tunic and Kokiri Boots you get for free at the start. Kokiri Sword is right at the start of the game, you basically get it for free. Master Sword, you get it for free. Hylian Shield is effectively a free goal because, like, you're never going to skip Hylian Shield. Big Goron Sword, it's, like I say, it's one of those things where it's definitely got this goal specific, but it's really quick. Same with Goron Tunic, same with Zora Tunic. And as Shaggy said, the only two that are actually deep into dungeons or quite difficult to reach are Iron Boots at the end of Ice Cavern and Mirror Shield at the top of Spirit Temple, which is just quite far away.
So one thing to note there is that you don't need the big Goron sword. Giant's Knife is good enough for this goal. So you saw him buy that, which he was able to do because he got the adult's wallet from RBAing the Pocket Cocoa. That's one of the things it gives you. Another reason RBA is really powerful. Nice bomb drop when he had 20 bombs.
Oh my god.
Nice bomb drop when he has 20 bombs.
struggling to remember whose screen it is. Link 11, known in the bingo community for pretty crazy bomb luck, but clearly it's Pasha's today.
Yeah. And
oh my god!
Why is he trying to get bombs? You have full bombs. What are you doing? I don't understand. Does he not realize that he only has bomb bag 20, or is he going? Oh, he's going for hearts. That's what he's doing.
That's ridiculous.
He went for hearts and got 3 bomb drops.
Is he gonna drink fish? No, he's getting a fairy. He's getting a fairy.
If he's on VC, he can drink fish. If not, then he can't. Well, he can,
I think
but
he
it
is
won't
on
do anything.
VC. The game looks far too high resolution to be N64.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not lagging hard enough to be N64.
Yeah, you can tell at a glance what console people are on once you've sort of watched the game enough. N64 is the one that kind of looks like an oil painting and is lagging. VC is the one that looks somewhat
presentable.
A modern game. Yeah.
And OT3D is the one nobody plays. So there you go.
Yeah.
Damn. Shots fired.
No, I love my OT3D boys. Big respect.
How many hearts does Link have now? 1, 2, 3, 7,
He's got
8. So he's doing pretty good. Link is not too far from being finished. He'll just get the last few heart pieces and Requiem and RBA Ice Arrow. He's
Yep.
He's
on
shooting
pace
sub
for sub 120.
Yep.
So 2 tricks going on your screen. There was first, Link 11 was using what's called a HES, or Hyper Extended Super Slide. And I'll explain that in a second. But Apacher is doing a weird shot, kind of struggling a little bit here. Weird shot is this interesting thing where you're basically able to displace Link's hookshot arm, like aiming under the ground. And you can reach beneath collision in order to hookshot chests and stuff from below. So you can bypass needing the Megaton Hammer and a small key and go straight to the Fire Temple boss key, which is really nice and quite fast. And it just so happens that it's easy to use bombs for weird shots. And then over on Link's screen, Hyperextended Super Slide is a version of something else we've been seeing called Wes that has happened a few times in this run. Basically, all you need to know is that there's such a thing as ESS position on really any Nintendo analog stick. And it's the position just outside the dead zone of the controller, where if you hold it, Link turns without moving. And it is so named ESS because it's useful in OOT specifically, named Extended Super Slide position. Because when you shield damage or enter and exit water in certain ways and hold it, Link moves very quickly backwards. It's very, very fast.
Yeah, it sort of locks your speed to what it was. So if you get a high speed value and then hold that control stick position and hold down target, you'll sort of stay at that speed for long periods of time.
Also worth mentioning is that this is not the only match we're putting on display this evening. There will be another tournament match just after this one. So when this race concludes, we'll throw to a quick break, and then after that, we will watch a second tournament race.
Yeah, so I think sort of at this stage of the race, Link is in, I would call this a commanding lead. Apache still has a fair bit to do.
Yeah, I would call it an insurmountable lead, to be honest.
Yeah, it's Link has almost nothing left to do. He has a cutscene to watch. He has kind of a boss key to fake and another heart to get. But Apache has to go to the desert. He has to go through Ice Cavern, which is what he's doing here. He has to go into water and defeat Morpher and all the rest of it, which he'll probably end on that if I was going to place a bet. And he also has to do some boss keys, so it's like...
he's also got to go to Ganon's castle.
Yeah, the difference is quite large here, but... I think both players are putting a good show. Pasha just, unfortunately, early on, just... it was just unfortunate. I think this race would have been a lot closer had the skull push at the start gone well. But unfortunately, it was Link would have had to mess up quite badly for it to go any other way than this.
Is there a universe where you wait to get Minuet, RBA Broken Sword for Water Medallion, and then just get Minuet after that? in a Pasher's
It deletes Bolero as well, so it's kind of... I mean, he doesn't need to go to fire in this, so I guess it's not too terrible. Usually you don't want to delete either of them, but this is possible. I don't know how I'd route this, to be honest. It's just not a row I would have picked.
Yeah, this row just feels like it has a lot of really long goals. But, I mean, technically, and Shaggy can speak to this better than I can, definitely. But there is there are algorithms that determine what rows, or what goals show up in rows, and technically, if I'm not mistaken, every row is supposed to be completable under a certain amount of time.
Yeah, so in theory, every row should be completable somewhere between like 107 to 110. If you play optimally, it should be around there. Realistically, I mean, some really elite players will be faster than that, but most high-level players, you'll see kind of like the low to mid 110 range is what you'll see.
So yeah, technically, like very technically speaking, you could pick a random row every single race and you should be able to win, or at least get a solid time.
If you are a master bingo, if you are a master of every goal, then yeah, you should be able to, in theory, pick a random row and be in like get a 110 every time.
Right, but of course in practice there is, preference, whether slight or large, towards certain goals. There are certain goals you might find are hard or too lengthy, or goals that mess with your mindset. Like there are any number of variables that actually make it a lot more difficult an exercise than just picking a random row. But yes, very technically speaking, any row can win.
Yeah, like I cannot, like if you take anything away from this, like I cannot reiterate enough that like while these players are doing these rows, they've looked at a whole 5x5 board, right, with 25 goals on it, and they've picked these. I would say that no bingo player is comfortable with every single goal possible, and then you have to think about the combinations as well. So I wouldn't say that if I was given a random row, like I would not perform the same in each one. And some rows will have goals that to this day I still don't know how to do. Like I avoid certain goals like the plague, right? Like there's a goal where it's like 37th heart piece as child. I still don't know how to do that. So like,
it's not hard. You could learn it very easily.
Maybe
that's one you could learn. I was thinking you were going to say Lon Skulls, because that one's actually nasty.
Yeah. Okay, Lon Skulls is the one goal I will not do. That is genuinely the one goal I won't do without Jabu synergy.
Yeah.
I did it in a tournament race and lost a lot of time to staircase hovering with bomb shoes. That was real fun.
This is why you don't do it. And this is what I mean when like even the best players like won't be comfortable at absolutely everything. And that's why a lot of the best players might not be the best at every single board, but they pick the good rows, and that's the main thing. Row picking is almost as sort of important as being sort of technically proficient, I'd say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's the difference, I think. Like if you do enough bingos, you get good just by like osmosis almost. Was very close. Holy moly, he just got saved by glitched health.
Well, he went from heart and a quarter down to half, so he knew he had glitched health. So
right,
yeah. So
looked over at the wrong time.
Yeah,
there's this weird thing that often happens with like weather damage in this game, where you can have a health value that is actually slightly larger or slightly smaller than these increments of 1/4, because the game can't display in increments of 1/8 or 1/16, and it is possible to actually have health at both of those values. Specifically, like when you get frozen by ice keys or like, burned by fire, it is possible to get these glitched values. And it's always scary, specifically in Ice Cavern, because it's so likely to happen. And there's a trick at the very end where you must die on a certain frame.
Yeah, which he just did and succeeded. So that is Serenade cutscene skip. So it skips the cutscene where it gives you Serenade. And if you want Iron Boots, you kind of want to do that because that's a fairly long cutscene that forces itself to activate after opening the chest.
Yeah,
so
no,
it looks
earlier
like
with. Oh, go ahead, Ada.
I was just gonna say, Link just got a little mega flip off that tech type. It looks like he's gonna do Morpha as his last heart.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Morpha, one of those bosses that's relatively quick. I'm not sure in this row. Like, Morpher isn't really needed for much else, but it's comfy. So, like, either way, it's not a terrible choice.
Yeah, this is juke propaganda, isn't it? This is faster than the Valley Heart pieces, apparently.
Yeah, I think it actually is. Although, I've heard conflicting things about Gomer and Morpher, but I guess Morpher's better just because you have Serenade, but... I don't know. You'd have to ask Duke for his opinion on.
I mean, of course, having not that it saves that much time, but having the boss key does make it slightly faster.
That's true as well, as long as you remember you have it.
Which is a classic. We're so used to skipping
right?
it. Yeah, nobody ever.
Yeah, so you should be done in the next 3 minutes, 2 minutes. Everything goes well. So I think a 119. Definitely, it's hard to tell. I always under or overestimate Morpher.
Yeah, he just has to touch the heart container, so about 117-ish now. So yeah, probably 118 or something like that.
And over on a pasture screen, we're seeing an interesting type of explosive hovering. This is called contortion hovering, no?
Yes, it is.
So there are lots of ways to hover with explosives, and this is one of the more interesting ones. A big part about hovering is that you always want, you want Link to stop moving backwards when he shields the damage, which is what allows you to stay in place rather than keep moving, or one of the things that allows you to stay in place. So, if you've seen Majora's Mask, it looks like they're able to hover so easily. That's because Link in Majora's Mask backflips differently.
It's the explosions that are different.
But the backflip is different.
It's kind of both.
Is it both? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the backflip is shorter. He definitely stops halfway.
Okay.
So in OOT, we need different ways to shorten the backflip. So typically hover boots are used, but in certain areas like that, it's better to do this thing where, if you hook shot in midair, Link stops moving, and so you drop a bomb shoot while doing that to hover.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where hover boots as well work for this, because when you backflip with hover boots on, Link kind of is slower in the air when he does this, so you don't need to contortion when you're wearing hovers. But
that's
Kikiri boots when you backflip.
Link, by the way.
And GG for Link.
GG's.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mutant.
No, that's absolutely fine. Link's win sort of takes priority there.
118.17. That's a very good time.
Especially for not just a tournament race, but also a showcase of this caliber. That's a really great time, I would say.
Yeah, excellent showcase there. Of an excellently meta bingo 10.2 row as well, in my opinion.
Very 10.2 row.
To see a very standard bingo row there for sure.
Yeah, 10 hearts, 10 songs, 9 hearts is everyone kind of agrees at the moment that it's just a really good combination, and a lot of people, it's very meta, very cool to do right now. So I'm glad that we could see that crop up, because it's a really interesting route.
And as for what Apasher has left, he's about to pick up his second boss key. So then likely he's going to... do you end on Weird Mute? No, you end on Water Medallion. For sure, yeah, because you have Serenade.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you play Serenade once, go get Mirror Shield, then play Serenade again, and do Water.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Does Apasher get to finish? This is a great question. Obviously, the answer is yes, as far as it is a tournament race, and he is well within his rights to finish. There is a small chance that if things take too long, we might stop restreaming Apasher's side just to move into the break and then into the second match, just because there's a second show on after this one. But for the sake of proof call and everything, we'll keep Apasher's stream up on our end to make sure he's not going to cheat second place, nor would he cheat at all. But yeah, so there's a small chance that we might cut away just in the end here, just so that we can save time for the second showrunner coming up after us. But we'll keep watching Apasher for a few minutes here at least.
Yeah, that's fair. He doesn't have a crazy amount left to do. Mirror Shield
Maybe
is
like 10 minutes?
Yeah, I think maybe a bit more. Mirror Shield is quite a long goal. Kind of depends how it goes.
Yeah, it's not crazy. Mirror Shield is a pretty skill-intensive goal, but it's not terribly long.
It just involves a lot of... if you do everything well first try, minimal buffering, like don't fail anything, it's reasonably quick. But yeah, like you say, it involves a lot of skill, so we'll see how it goes.
We could bring Link in for a quick interview.
Yeah, we could do that.
Sounds good with me.
Interested to hear what his thoughts on claim check RBA was.
Ah, yes. The hot button topic of the evening.
Yeah. the big brain routing idea that none of us had, but chat did.
Yeah, the
To be fair, they didn't have it until like 20 minutes into the...
Yeah,
until it would have been too late.
Yeah, so Pasha got legit ZL as child because he needs it for Saria, Gorham Bracelet, and then eventually Green Gauntlets. So he is good, but none of the rest of his goals need ZL. As far as I can see, he just needs to get across Valley and Wasteland just to get Mirror Shield.
Not quite. I guess it works.
All right, we are almost ready with the interview with Link 11. We'll ask him some questions about the row choice and everything, about the race. But again, we are just watching a Pasher here. Pasher got caught by the guards, unfortunately, so has to go back in because he does need ice arrows because getting the water boss key legit is not worth it.
No, it's quite slow.
Yeah, it's quite deep into the dungeon, and especially if we can get it, never going there at all. Like, even with a water medallion goal, you might think that, oh, you're already in there, but it's behind a couple of key doors. Getting keys in water is a fairly time-intensive thing to do.
Iron Boots would make it slightly easier, but it's still quite slow. A lot slower than getting Ice Arrow.
Yeah. I mean, even keys
like
with Iron Boots is difficult to do.
Yeah, it's not great.
It looks like Link is ready to go. So Link, first of all, congratulations on your victory.
Yeah,
Thank
congratulations.
you. Thanks.
How do you overall, if you had to, rate the experience, how do you feel how you played?
I thought I played fine for the most part. It was just like random bullshit. Like, I don't know, just some random stuff happened. But overall, it was okay.
Yeah, I think you played solid the whole time.
Yeah, same. How do you feel that how do you feel about your row choice? What would you say about your row?
I mean, I picked it because I thought it was like the meta row, like Hearts with Trade Quest is usually pretty broken, but I don't know, this row didn't really feel broken, like unless maybe my routing was bad, but it didn't.
We do have one thing we want to ask you about your routing.
What was that?
Claim check RBA. Instead of, well, you could have skipped both Shadow and Fire boss keys potentially, because Prescription gives you Deku boss key, and then you could get Forest boss key as well with the claim check, because you were in DC already to pick up the bomb bag, the glitched bomb bag.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. Probably would have
Neither
been
did we.
Neither did we.
We didn't either. It was the combined effort of chat that came up with that. So, but yeah, we think it probably would have been quite fast.
Yeah, that sounds a lot faster than what I did, actually.
I think, if you just did claim check, it's just on the verge of being worth it, but doing both feels really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, given that you literally walked past the fake bomb chest as well, like you're already there. That's kind of what I think tipped me over the edge of thinking, yeah, that's really good. Like if you just were going there for that route idea, then it might not have been great, but because you literally walked past it, it kind of sealed it in my mind that, wow, that's kind of broken.
Yeah.
All right, just, everybody note down on your notepads if you have 10 songs, 9 hearts, and 3 boss keys.
That's the kind of thing. It's very niche. So
Yeah. Like, because normally I don't even think about it for like boss key goals. Like, I only think about it if I see forest boss key. I think, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
then I'll be a claim check. But it's interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting route. Like I say, it wasn't our idea. None of us are that sort of enormous brain, but combined effort of a few elite bingoers in chat.
if only you had a whole chat of bingoers routing for you, your routes would be better.
My God,
Yeah,
we should do
finally.
that. We should do a race where you just have like 9 people in your chat who all pick your row. They route
And then they
everything
spend
for
the
you.
entire. There's so much time fighting over row is better. It just never gets
Yeah.
picked.
Yeah. It's like
And
a
then they
team.
spend-
It's like a team bingo, but like one
Oh my
person
God.
plays and like 8
You get-
people. Like,
Backseat.
yeah.
Not to mention all the time then once you've picked the row, they're all gonna be like, no, this is faster. No, this is faster. No, this is faster.
I think that'd be an interesting idea. I might,
Okay. Pasher
Oh,
barely
that is
made.
the closest
Yeah.
gate
Ooh, yeah.
skip I've ever seen.
Yeah, so with a bit of combo there from hover boots, a roll, turning in midair, side hopping, you can barely make that jump, which is it's a really cool bit of parkour, but that was very close. But no, I think he should be within. I think now he's definitely within 10 minutes. Mirror shield depends on how his hover to mirror shield goes, and then water medallion is a fairly straightforward goal. Just warp to water, beat Morpher, and then step into the warp.
Yeah, I think if he does Spirit Hover first try, he's 135 or 136, mid 130s anyway.
Yeah, I think I'd agree there. It comes down to how clean the execution is from here on out. Spirit
Yeah, I
hover.
would say if we see first try Spirit Hover, I think we'll close it out with him. We'll watch the rest of it, but I think if Spirit Hover fails, we might jump to the first break.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
And again, that's not because we don't want to watch a Pasher finish. In fact, we will still have the stream up on our end. It's just from a matter of time since we have a second show on after this one. So yeah, this
Green
is
Gauntlets. Sorry, I just want to answer a question,
No,
chat.
you're good.
Green Gauntlets are indeed a glitch. They required you to RBA the Pocket Kuko while you have Goron Bracelet. There are a few goals in Bingo that require glitches, but there are not very many. Most goals don't hard require glitches. There's the 3 glitch gauntlet goals. There's 37th heart piece. Is there any more? Those are the only ones that come to mind.
Bronze Gauntlet, or any
Yeah,
of the
the
Gauntlet goals. Do you
gauntlets.
say that?
Yeah.
I'd have to look at I'd have to generate a bunch of boards to find one, I think.
Oh, I would just check the spreadsheet, but yeah.
I think
access
that's
to the
it. I
spreadsheet?
think everything else should be achievable via vanilla gameplay.
Yeah, I think so. Oh no, sorry. You need there's stuff 7 bottle contents.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So that requires you to have 7 bottles, which in the vanilla game you only get 4, so
Oh.
it requires bottle duping.
Ouch.
All right. Unfortunately, I think we're probably going to move into our first break here. Again, Pasher will be finishing the race, but just out of interest of time, unfortunately, we have to move on. So we are going to quickly jump to a break. Everybody stay in your seats. Keep your television sets adjusted to GDQ because there is another Ocarina of Time bingo race coming up just after this. There will be more Challenger approaching and more Ocarina of Time just after this. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Games Done Quick Hotfix. My name is Adef, and this is Challenger Approaching. We just watched one match from the Ocarina of Time Bingo Tournament. We're about to watch a second. It's very exciting. Some announcements quickly. Check out our highlights channel, which features standout moments from our hotfix shows. Use exclamation highlights in Twitch chat to learn more. Check out @GamesDoneQuick on Instagram to get bite-sized clips from our hotfix shows and see what happens at the events. And your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered on the GDQ Twitch channel. Sorry, I lost my place. They all help support weekly hotfix content. Please consider subscribing if you enjoy these weekly hotfix shows. But gamers, Mutant and Shaggy, what did we just see and what are we about to see?
We just saw an Ocarina of Time bingo, and we're about to see another one.
Yes, I'm quickly pulling up an example board on my stream, and then I believe we will be ready to go. I've got it up. Excellent. I'm going to go ahead and say that whenever the racers are ready, they can both dot ready in the race time, and we'll get this show on the road. So we have Wicked Gligar and Moose OOT showing off this race here, and they are starting in 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go.
We are away.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to close this board, pull up the new one, and I'll send the board in Challenger Approaching for Mutant and Shaggy for us to observe.
Ooh.
10 silver rupee rooms right in the middle.
You love to see it. You love to see it.
Hey, I'm one of the people who liked it. I like that goal.
I think it can be good in very specific certain circumstances. So Shaggy said last time he sort of looks for the longer goals. My eyes are always go straight to the middle because it's the goal that is most likely to be yours. It comes up in Col 3, Row 3, and both diagonals instead of usually just being either in the column or a row. And 10 rupee rooms is also one of Shaggy's long goal sort of highlights. So
Yep. So
kind of both swords there.
So really quick, I think it is worth mentioning again that this is Ocarina of Time Bingo if you're just joining us. So this is vanilla Ocarina of Time. This is not a randomizer. And what you're looking at here is a 5x5 card of randomized goals. Randomized as in the set of goals is random. And the goal of a bingo race, and specifically this is a tournament race, so there's a lot on the line here. The goal is to complete one row, column, or diagonal vis-a-vis a bingo faster than your opponent. So Moose and Gligar might pick the same row, they might pick different rows, and it looks like Moose has already chosen row 4. Or no, sorry,
4.
I'm looking at a past. It just so happens that row 4 also has magic beads from the previous, but neither has chosen a row yet.
So looking at the board, nothing is jumping out to me as good. I see a lot of awkward rows. I see column 1 and row 5 both involving Sarias and light arrows. I see 10 songs and dins in column 5, which is usually
column
not
5
great.
is nasty. Keaton Mask is a goal I feel like I never see.
Yeah, Keaton Mask is a rare goal. It's one of the rare Child ZL goals. Keaton Mask essentially requires you to start the mask trade quest, which requires you to show the letter to the guard in Kakariko Village. It's generally a goal that people don't like doing, especially not with 10 songs like in row 4. Stone of Agony is also on this board, which again a lot of people don't like because
3 songs is weird too. Like I feel like I don't see 3 songs these
3
days.
songs is another really rare because that's a really short goal. It's one of the very free goals.
I don't hate column 2 and row 2.
Yeah, row 2 has dins plus elemental arrows, but it does have forest keys. That's probably a back in time for dins row, which is pretty.
I don't mind back in time dins. Back in time dins is fine when you have some forest synergy. So to go back in time in this game, you need to beat Phantom Ganon and somewhat step in his warp. So anything that has any sort of forest, if you want to go back in time at all, anything that has any sort of forest goals is usually good for that sort of purpose. So again, row 2 has some of that with unused keys in forest.
You could probably
Column 2,
approach column 5 in the same way because you get minuet. Sorry, go ahead, Adif.
No, I was just gonna say, I think column 2 kind of something that I've recently started doing that was not usually my mentality. For years, I've been bingoing under the mentality of like, whatever has the most synergy is best. But more recently, I've sort of pivoted to like what has a lot of fast goals in it. And column 2 is the only one to me that doesn't feel like it has, other than 30 skulls, is nothing like stupid long.
Well, 9 Gorons is...
Yeah, but like, there's nothing in the row that screams to me as like, oh, I'm going everywhere for this.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, column 2, you go to a few different places, like Water Medallion. You go to Water, Fire, Spirit, which are all pretty far from each other. But on the flip side, 3 songs is basically a free... It's very hard to do a bingo without getting 3 songs anyway.
Yeah.
So it is effectively a free space in that row. And 30 skulls, again, depends on how it's routed. You do go to a lot of dungeons, but skulls in water in that row I don't like. Fire skulls would be fine, but there's not many of them that are easy to access. And Spirit, I guess you'd probably have to do skulls and Spirit in that row. It just, I don't know, 30 skulls in that row doesn't scream very good to me.
So it looks like both, or sorry, okay, Gligar has chosen column 5, it looks like. But I think we still don't have a row choice from...
No,
we may have one, he just may not have closed the previous one. So I can message him about that. But we definitely have a row choice for Gligar, and the row is column 5.
Column 5, the 10 songs Din's row that right at the start we said, oh.
Yeah, I'm still not a big fan of it. But I can see maybe at least the rest of the goals are fast. That's what I will say. Like, although you do have to get Mirror Shield, which no, that's not bad because you can
Requiem,
yeah.
Yeah, like Map and Compass in Well is a decently fast goal because usually you want something else in Well, and both of them are really accessible. So that's a fast goal. Again, Map and Compass in Water, not as quick, but comfy. 10 songs we saw on the, if you were here for the last one, there's a very standard route to get 10 songs. So it's a bit of a brain off sort of goal to start with. The only weird ones realistically I can see are, like say, that Mirror Shield and Back in Time for Dins.
Yeah. It's kind of annoying because maybe you skipped Suns. No, I don't think you do that because I was trying to think of if you do Back in Time on a 10-song row, then you actually get to consider Eponas as an option. But I think it's probably still slow.
It's hard to make that call. Like usually, we said this in the last one as well, so if you were here, if we retread any ground, we do apologise. The 10 songs is usually where you get everything other than Saria and Epona, but when you go back in time, you, in a row, you do honestly have to consider like, oh, can I substitute, usually Requiem, because it's the longest, can I substitute Requiem with Epona or Saria? In this row, probably not worth, because you're getting Mirror Shield anyway. But
yeah,
it's a consideration you have to start making at that point, which kind of messes with your thought processes.
So one fun game we get to play is if Moose doesn't capture the newer row for a bit.
We get to play guess.
We get to guess
Yay.
what row he's playing. I have messaged him in every available place, so hopefully he sees it soon. But if not, at the very least in the Master Sword cutscene, I'm sure we'll get the update. But yeah, for right now, obviously it's impossible to tell because basically getting the Cuckoo bottle is like standard in almost every single row.
Yeah.
Sword, however, is not. Sword is ironically a goal. It's not a goal. Well, Sword is ironically a bit of equipment that is actually quite rare for bingo these days. It's not particularly needed if you just want to go straight adult. So it's usually interesting when people pick it up, because either it means that they need to kill a lot of skulls as child, which is possibly maybe a 30 skull row is my first sort of tinglings here, because he's not going to well, because usually it might mean that he's going to well as well. So my spidey sense is potentially saying 30 skulls, but not by the look of it either, because he's not doing.
No, it looks like he's just going adult.
All right, I have confirmation from Moose. He's changing the row.
Okay.
I have heard from him. He is changing the row, so we will know very soon.
It could also just be similar to Cole 5, where he needs the 3 swords and 3 shields.
Yeah, he might have picked a swords and shield row.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not Cole 5, because while it is sometimes interesting to see 2 people do the same row, because you can actually kind of get a bit of a race. Usually bingo excels at being interesting because of like the multitude of different routes and cards and rows that people pick.
Yeah, it's very cool to see 2 racers doing completely different goals, but still it being a fair race.
Well, we know he's definitely not doing column 5. That I can tell you.
Yeah, thank God. is my thoughts on that one. I don't think Cole 5 is knowing Moose, as I hopefully do, he's not someone that I think he would have been drawn to 10 songs, then saw Dins and went, nope.
Yeah. So he could be going for row 3 or he could just be getting sword because he wants to, although column 4 is what
column 4
he just put up.
Okay.
So there's another 3 swords is in there.
Yeah, full equipment, again, we're seeing. Takes you almost everywhere, so hearts shouldn't be a problem.
We're also seeing trade quest plus hearts again, so...
I mean, 20 Deku sticks is a fast goal. That's kind of a freebie, as we'll explain later.
Yep.
Yep, it's another goal that can be done very quickly with RBA.
Yeah, light arrows, interesting goal. Again, it's one of those goals that on paper sounds quite long, and it actually is long, but not for the reasons you think.
Yeah, it's got the longest cutscene in the game.
Yep.
So his route should be fairly straightforward. Well, straightforward to us anyway. Maybe I should say straightforward. It's going to be another trade quest row. You'll have to stop, get Minuet at some point to do the Forest Temple keys, and you'll have to get the tunics and the sword while doing trade quest or right after it. And other than that, it's just Iron Boots, Mirror Shield, grab Broken Giant's Knife on the way to Mirror Shield. 20 Deku Sticks is free. Oh,
yeah,
Moose didn't get stick. Juke has pointed out the Moose didn't pick up stick, which is not a terrible issue.
No, it's not.
He's going to Forest Temple. He can get sticks there.
He doesn't actually need it either, as far as I'm aware.
Well, it needs to show in the inventory for 20. So he has to... Yeah, it does have to get one.
That's interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
You can't just know that you have 20?
No. You need to have it show in the inventory. That's kind of just a general rule for bingo goals. Is if it's something that shows in your inventory, it has to actually show in your inventory. You can't just be like, yeah, I know I have it.
Slight tech difficulties on Moose's side will work to get it back up and running.
It is just a mass sword cutscene as well, so don't feel you're missing too much at the moment, other than Moose mashing text.
It is back up.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
so
I forgot you can just buy a stick.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can also just kill Babbers as well. They still drop sticks even as adult. Gligar here doing an alternative of what we saw last race to the new, very difficult skull push. This is the more conventional, older method of getting to bomb choose early, where you get a hover off the bubble that rotates around the well, and then you use the Ocarina cutscene, and it's called a cutscene dive, but you can shorten it to just being an Ocarina dive because you use an Ocarina. And while you're playing an Ocarina, you still accelerate downwards, but nothing actually loads like collision and stuff, so you just fall straight through the floor. And that's very useful for getting out of bounds and then swimming up to the Bombchu chest. So a lot easier than the trick we saw last bingo, but it is optimally anyway a fair bit slower just because the extra equipment needs. But not in this row because you need Sword and Shield anyway, so it's not too bad.
You do still have to get Ocarina, but that saves you a bit of time in some places here. Like, you have to play at least, every time you play a song, you save, 10 seconds? Which is not bad.
Something, it's like 8 or something like that, yeah, 9 seconds.
It adds up.
Yeah. I think the main thing is if you don't get Ocarina and you want to play a song, you have to do a glitch called Ocarina items, which involves dropping and catching something in a bottle, and dropping and catching something is slower than just pulling the Ocarina, right? And that's where you save your time. And I think it's about, you need to play 8 songs for getting Ocarina to become worth it.
That sounds right.
Yeah, so if you look ahead in your row, and like a lot of pro bingo players, not pro, none of us get paid, unfortunately. If you're a good bingo player, you will usually plan out like the songs you're going to play, and you will determine whether Ocarina is worth it or not. In this row, not sure whether songs-wise it's worth it, but it does make getting choose a lot easier.
You guys aren't signed by an organization to play bingo?
No, unfortunately.
Any day now. Any day now.
I'm Optic ADEF now. They really wanted a middling bingo player, so I filled that niche really nicely.
I'm waiting for my email, I guess. I'll keep clicking refresh.
Yeah.
FaZe Clan is coming for you. I know it, Mutant. I can feel it.
Just keep emailing all the esports organizations asking
do you know about this
your
small
stream?
niche esport? Because have I got a deal for you?
Have you ever done a map encompassing bottom of the world, Din's Fire, 3 swords, 3 shields, 10 songs, map encompassing water faster than me? No.
No way.
Here's an interesting question for you, Shaggy. Missing Castle Before Night.
Yeah.
So that's tough. Gligar was going for a trick commonly referred to as Castle Before Night, but some people I'd heard in recent times, Zoomers saying Schrodinger's Chain, which I think is kind of epic. Basically, the idea is if you never look at the drawbridge after it goes up, it is technically both up and down at the same time. Oh my god. And you can load in the chain, get on top of it, and then turn, and it will instantly be up, and you will be on top of it. And so you're able to get into the castle with this really tight day-night cycle that exists with the very common bingo route.
Yeah, it's all camera shenanigans and the game trying to save sort of resources on that old N64. Doesn't actually update stuff if you don't look at it, which is a very very topical in recent times because it's one of the fundamental principles of how SRM and some more broken stuff works. But we can use it here just for the simple means of keeping that bridge down and also getting a giant style child here. If you kill enough of them, they start growing in size.
That actually gives a lot of rupees. That's probably actually worth doing if you miss Castle Before Night.
I think a lot of people don't know that you can get massive levers and guays too.
Yes. There's a brilliant, one of my favorite, I think it might have been a Reddit post where this guy's absolutely freaking out because he sees a mega guay. It's just so funny to watch because people don't really understand it. And it's just if you kill enough of them, they come back with a vengeance.
So a question I have for Shaggy that I've never really thought of before, but is there hard maths on what's the odds that you could get 2 identical rows in 2 subsequent races? How frequently does the bingo generator create identical rows?
I believe that kind of math has been done before, not by me. I would predict very, 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 very rarely. Runner guy's in chat. I wonder if he knows that.
Because
One of those
I've been-
things.
it could be huge if like you do one tournament race, you get a certain row, and then the next tournament race, it's the same row, and you can just play it again.
Yeah,
That
I
used
can
to
say.
happen, but like more modern generators, like back in the day when it was just like a set card and you just you got generated a random goal that you had to do, like it would have been easy to kind of meta game quite a lot, but it's got to be the odds these days are got to be crazy high.
Yeah, I've never seen, or at least not recognized that I've seen a duplicate row, or even like
Sure.
4 duplicate goals in a row. Like, I've seen 3. I think 3 is not too rare, but 4 or even 5, I don't think I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? Like, isn't it something like every single card shuffle in like a deck of cards is always like a different combo? It must be similar because like how many goals do we have in the generator now? It's like it's definitely
It's a lot.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, a deck of cards is 52 factorial, a reorder every time. And so it is more than likely that no 2 people have ever shuffled a deck of cards the same way
Yeah.
in the history of decks of cards.
So we
Yeah.
have just over 200 possible goals.
Okay, yeah, there are not very rare. The only reason why it would happen, and I'm sure
Now,
it has, is because of synergy.
Yeah, I was gonna say it can't be a random, like it can't be fully random because of synergy, but there are still a lot of options.
Yeah, so Moose here, just doing some RBA. So, like I say, if you missed the last one, we're going to be referring to RBA, which is Reverse Bottle Adventure, and
He's buying a stick here.
Yeah, he's buying
Yeah.
a stick here to dumb it down as low as possible. It's your B button, giving you other items based on what's on C, right? So chicken points to like strength, I think dive meter, so he can write to the dive meter and strength slots in the game by having chicken there. Further trade items give you other stuff like the fake bomb bag, quivers, going so far as stuff like boss keys and keys in dungeons. But that's basically the main thing people have Bottle on B for, just to give them stuff that would be really hard to get otherwise.
Yeah, one thing he will be doing with it here is fairy points to Deku stick amount. So, and conveniently, an empty bottle has value 20. So if he drops anything with fairy on C right, it will write the value of 20 to his Deku stick amount and give him the 20 Deku sticks goal.
Yeah, that's crazy that goal matches up so well. It's almost like it's planned.
Yeah, it's almost like it was designed that way.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
this
so
is
some
the
common
Bingo
values.
Shadow Council talking. This is
Yeah.
Bingo Illuminati.
Some common values: empty bottle is 20, fish is 25, bugs are 29. It's why like you can RBA stuff like your bomb chew and your bomb count as well. So if you're ever low on bomb chews, you might see people like catch bugs with Poe on C right, and it will just refill their bomb chew count to 29. And that's just another thing that you can do with it. You can impact so much of your route with simple RBA like that.
Apasher did that last bingo. Didn't comment on it.
Yes.
And that again has to do with the way memory addresses are allocated in OOT is just very convenient with Bottle on B.
Yeah,
Because
it's
of this
very
one
bottles are
There's, like-
programmed in a very janky way.
Yeah, there's this one particular algorithm that is how the game recognizes where bottle contents are supposed to go, and it just so happens that algorithm is very exploitable.
Yeah, it's very busted if you put a bottle on B.
Yeah. It's just they made a system that for the time was quite ingenious, but if you don't plan for, I mean, who would have planned for bottle on B, right?
Look,
If you-
for all we know, Miyamoto was doing no I am wrong warp, like,
Back in the day, yeah?
yeah, and just, was like, well, I'm not going to do RBA, it's so broken. and Eiji Aonuma was doing butterfly SRM. Like, you know, obviously they knew these things, right?
Yeah, just thought it was cool and, you know, a bit of an Easter egg.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're
that's
like, well,
why
we'll
they-
leave this one.
Yeah, that's why they painted the Gorons in Goron City like that, just to give players hints.
When that was pointed out to me, that was just like, oh my god, I know this is stupid, but I mean, I gotta laugh.
You have to explain the lore.
So the act of doing SRM, which you're not allowed to do in bingo, so this is a bit of a tangent, involves holding unloaded items over your head. So basically Link's got his hands up in the air holding nothing. And in Goron City, the paintings of the Gorons in the wall are also doing that. So there's some deepest lore that Nintendo knew about SRM.
Oh my god, wait. I have to make a 20-minute video essay on this to capitalize on Zelda meme culture on YouTube.
I think ZFC
Is
like
this
a
the
really,
biggest undiscovered secret in Ocarina of Time?
Yeah, he has a really popular clip, so just capitalize on that now while it's still fresh.
Oh, yeah.
When was the last I've never seen that before moment? Ask that to both of you. For me, usually it's stuff like, I don't know, like janky interactions with surfaces. Like sometimes you'll, I don't know, I think the last one I saw was like people trying to get OI in certain places. Like I was trying to get OI earlier on the two hands at Spirit Temple. And there's just a bunch of like seams and collision and stuff there. And you just end up getting crazy like jump slash OI and stuff like that. Like you can truly get like some weird interactions with collision in this game that you'll never see anywhere else.
Yeah, I actually had one recently in the same vein. I was going through Shadow Temple as child, going through the guillotines that are in the middle room, and I tried to roll under one, but I rolled too late, and so I hit the front of the guillotine, but instead of being stopped, I was thrown to the other side of the guillotine and then still made the jump. It let me go. And I've never seen anything like that before. I've never been thrown off to the side by something like that. It doesn't really make sense.
Something happened to me in round 3 that I'm now blanking on, but something definitely happened, and I remember saying out loud, I've never seen that. So I'd have to go back and scrub through the VOD to find it, but I know something definitely happened. But in Zelda in general, I can tell you the other day I crashed Breath of the Wild on accident for the first time. And the game was... The visual aspect of the game froze, but the game kept running. I could hear Link moving around, and I could hear environment noises, and then after about 15 seconds of that, the game was like, yeah, this isn't right. And decided to crash.
An error has occurred.
Yeah, I'd never seen the game crash like that ever.
This is vanilla.
Yeah, the generated board is random, so all the goals that they might have to complete are all randomized on each board, but the game itself is vanilla. People do run rando bingos, but it becomes a lot more. It becomes a lot less about your on-the-fly routing and how you utilize like your game knowledge, and a lot more about like both how good like. I don't want to say luck because obviously rando is so much more than luck, and it would be simplifying it massively to say it was luck. But people that enjoy bingo tend to enjoy it being a lot like almost 100% skill based. So
Yeah.
it's definitely something that people do run in rando, but for our purposes, most of it is run on vanilla.
Yeah,
So-
the big problem with... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. Keep going.
I was going to talk more about rando bingo, but kind
Oh,
of
okay. I was
not
just going to say
relevant.
that a couple interesting things just happened on Moose's screen. First of all, we're seeing Mushroom with timer, which we didn't see in the last race. And the other thing worth noting is he did 2 RBAs that you don't really see right away. The first one was he dropped bugs with Bottled Fairy on C right, which points to your Deku Stick ammo count. So he now does have 20 Deku Sticks. Actually, does he have 21?
No, just 20.
20, yeah.
It doesn't add, it just sets it.
It just updates.
Yeah.
So he has 20 Deku Sticks, so that goal is actually completed now.
Yep.
And then he caught with the Odd Mushroom on C right, just like last race, to get 1 free heart piece.
Yeah, so we said last time, like heart goals, I don't want to say they've been solved, but very like the whole mushroom RBA stuff has become very popular. There's a lot of like very standardized routes now for hearts, so it's in kind of recent times it's become a lot more streamlined than it was in the past. 9 hearts, especially in the past, used to be very much a goal where you'd kind of scramble for bosses and heart piece and all the rest of it. But nowadays, it's kind of mushroom RBA is very much the standard, and this early route is very much a standard route.
Yeah, so Moose is doing what I talked about in last race, where instead of doing triple mushroom, you try to do double. So he's trying to quickly collect 3 heart pieces, which isn't too difficult to do. But in order to buy himself a little extra time on the 3 minutes, he might actually be doing triple if he does damage.
Yeah, I think he is doing triple. Yeah.
So there's 2 interesting things about timers in this game. When you're in midair with a timer active on screen, if you press what we call a so-called cutscene item while you're in midair, these items include like Ocarina, trade quest items, things that like change the game state is a really bastardized way of saying it. You can cause the timer to freeze, or rather disappear until you hit the ground again. And then the other interesting thing is when you get a new timer, so if like you go into Death Mountain Crater to get a heat timer, or you go into the Dampe race to get the Dampe timer, that will overwrite your current timer until that timer is gone. So one thing he'll be doing to try to get triple mushroom here is using the Dampe race.
Yeah, having a bit of trouble here buffering 1 frame. This is really important to get. This is another hookshot jump, but it's using, instead of death, you just kind of this is a really hard one to explain. You kind of interrupt this glitchy recoil, like bonk state off the wall, and it's a frame perfect hookshot press. Like, and here's the frame, and you just jump up really high in the air. You don't need to. Oh no,
that's really bad.
That hurts, especially given the time you put into buffering that. Okay, so this, when he did a slight turn there and then bonked, this gives him an extra frame. So this isn't frame perfect anymore, it's just it's a 2 frame window, which I think he went for because he's the buffering nightmare before.
I hate this hookshot jump, it's awful.
Yeah.
The ESS frame to the right also makes it more lenient on the upwards trajectory. Like if you just hold right, I feel like the extra turn to the right makes it so you don't fall off the front.
Yeah, it's worth noting as well that like if you have a timer, when you pause buffer, the timer is kind of desynced from the visual frame. So even though you're not advancing any visual frames, every time you pause buffer, the timer is still kind of counting down in its own way. So he was buffering there for quite a while. So we actually probably lost about maybe like just over a second on the timer, just by being stuck there for a while. And he's quite low now. He's gonna have to be really.
Yeah, he's gonna have to really fast.
Yeah, so he failed that hookshot jump once, and he buffered quite a lot. He should be fine if he does a few. As Adef said, you can kind of stop the timer by being in midair. But it's gonna be close. I'm sure he's sweating.
Yeah, and it's not just the 2 heart pieces that he's looking for, right? There's the Dampe race heart piece and then the windmill heart piece. He also has to get into the potion shop.
Yep.
And trade the item in, so it's gonna be pretty close. It's always fun when you trade the item in with 1 second left on the clock, and you're like, oh my god, I made it, I'm here.
Yeah, it's very much like coming in after a long day of work. Like, please just take the mushroom, take it away from me.
I don't want it anymore.
All right, here we go again, 30 seconds. Yeah, doing the time stop midair there. Oh, he's not really happy. That's not good.
I don't think he can make it.
No,
I think he knows it as well.
So you just get the heart piece and then, I mean, try to think like, can I do 4 somehow?
I don't know. I definitely drop it. Definitely drop here. Yeah, like no matter what.
Yeah.
There's no way he makes this.
He didn't even try to time stop there, so I think he's just accepted that he's not going to make it.
Yeah. This is unfortunate. If you don't hand in the timer, if you don't hand in the mushroom in 3 minutes, it warps you back.
Yeah, that's it.
If he
tried to
there,
YOLO'd that jump.
Yeah.
It might have been possible if he did the cutscene item in midair and then also hit the.
Got that jump.
Oh, he has sticks on B as well now. That's really bad.
Yeah, because he has. I assume he has sticks. Yeah, because he would
He
have
has
already.
20 sticks, yeah.
So
Yeah.
he can't.
Well, he can just equip sword and bottle.
Oh,
on B again.
no, he has to reset. He has to. No. He has to. Wait.
No, he has sword. Why does he have to reset?
He
I saw
pulled
a
one.
stick pull. He pulled stick.
pulled
He needs
one.
to. He needs to
Oh,
reset.
he pulled stick.
He needs to reset.
Do we tell him that?
We need to tell him.
I can
realistically.
tell him.
Yeah, that needs to be a reset there. So, we said before, stick
Give me 1
on
second
B.
here.
Yeah.
Moose, I don't know if you know, but you can hear me right now. You pulled a stick when you were equipping sword. So that is, I mean, via tourney rules, right? That's a reset, yeah?
Yeah, it would have crashed on N64, so VC needs to just treat it as if it was game over.
All right, I redeafened him. Hopefully he.
Did he hear you?
I mean, I assume so.
He's continuing. Yeah. So I mean,
Earth to Moose, you must reset your game. You have pulled
Yeah.
a stick on VC.
maybe just mention it in the race time as well. Because the longer he goes on this,
Yeah.
the more it's going to be bad for him. Do you want me to explain, or are you gonna? Did you want to keep trying to talk to Moose?
Yeah, you can explain while I try to do this.
Yeah. So basically, we said before, there are certain tricks that are banned in bingo, and one of them is pulling a stick as adult. It's fine to have a stick on your B button as long as you don't pull it, because on N64, if you pull a stick as adult, the game just hard crashes. It just hard locks, and you have to reset. So to make it fair between the consoles, we say that VC also, even though it doesn't crash on Wii Virtual Console, we say that it's banned because it would just make some goals way Wii favored. And if you do pull a stick on Wii, the official tournament, or the official bingo rules basically say you have to treat it as if your console crashed, which just means you reset. Unfortunately, it feels awful when it happens, because mashing A and B for text, you can sometimes just pull a stick. But unfortunately, we do have to be fair to like both consoles.
Yeah,
And that's unfortunately the reason why Moose has had to sort of reset there. He's lost a lot of time there.
yeah. That he just lost a massive amount of time there.
Yeah.
12 minutes, maybe?
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah, so, I mean, the difficulty, right, you might in your brain be like, well, okay, but it didn't have any bearing on the actual race, right? He never used the stick. But again, it really is just like, you have to be hard and fast with rulings like this, because if a player on N64 had made the identical mistake, they would have instantly had to reset. No questions asked. So it's only fair.
Yeah, on N64, it literally, like, your game freezes, you get the little
goes,
yellow error bar, and it goes, yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to just ironically emulate that through player decision. Unfortunately, it sounds tough, but yeah, if Moose had been on N64, it would be the exact same result. So
Tough, obviously, and you know, you hate to be Moose in that position. Obviously, was not intentional, but yeah, it is what it is. And now, you know, we've got more of a race, I would say. Obviously losing a lot of time, but I would say it's hard to say, in the same way that it's tough to say who is winning at chess. It's when people aren't picking the same rows, it's tough to be like, this person is winning, especially in the first half. But it kind of seemed to me as though maybe Moose was a little ahead.
yeah, I think so. Just on, I think, mainly execution based. Moose is, I would say, the more experienced player, which is why it's always awful to make those, you know, you might consider it like a beginner mistake to sort of mash the stick there, but it happens to everyone. So, yeah, I think Moose was in the lead. Gligar now definitely in the lead, but it's so early game that, like, Gligar also has so many points of failure that, like, you know, he could also make a massive mistake eventually, and you can never count anyone out at this stage, I don't think.
Is it fair to tell him? This is a great question that we debate in the Discord all the time.
Yeah, it's been a topic of some controversy, but the other option is to let him finish and then DQ him, which I really
Feels so
wouldn't
much
agree
worse.
is, yeah.
Leaves a bad taste in the mouth.
Yeah.
I
Also,
really
Plus,
would. I don't want to DQ players unless it's absolutely necessary.
It's also this is a at the end of the day, it's a tournament, but at the moment it's also a bit of a showcase as well.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it would just be really it'd be really bad for
if we just
everyone.
waited an hour to be like, LOL, you lost.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it was a hard and fast rule that you had to reset if you pulled one, but it makes sense.
Yeah. Sometimes if you're this shouldn't happen, but if you're playing with, if you're doing more like a friendly race and, you might do it, people might say either, play on or you can save and reset, but those realistically should only be happening in friendlies and they shouldn't really be happening at all because the races are recorded and they should all be a standardized rule set. But definitely in tournament, rules can't really be bent like that.
But yeah, regardless, let's move onwards and upwards and take a look at, obviously on Moose's side, we'll see a little bit of what we've seen before. That does give him the opportunity to optimize, sort of just saw that stuff. But over on Gligar's screen, we've also got a trade quest going and some other stuff happening over there as well.
Ooh, Gligar getting absolutely bodied there by the Moblin. I never backwalk here. I literally just roll.
Same. I can't.
I don't think it's faster to backwalk because you end up side hopping so much.
I do it going up because you can easily set yourself up to, but going back down that way, I wouldn't.
But Gligar here collecting his songs. He's getting a Saw now, and we said last time, but if you weren't here for the last race, Saw, when combined with reverse bottle adventure or the bottle on V trick, if you just want to remember it like that, that gives you 4 songs, 4 really interesting songs. It gives you Zelda's Lullaby, it gives you Serenade of Water, it gives you Nocturne of Shadow, and Prelude of Light. So not only 4 songs to go towards your 10, but also 4 really useful songs. ZL opens a lot of the game for you. You can do a lot of stuff. Namely, allows you to get magic and then Din's Fire, which is needed here. But also the warp songs speed up map traversal really heavily. Serenade is a great one to have. It's very central. Nocturne, Shadow is quite out of the way, and being able to warp directly there is always cool. Prelude not used so much, but it's helpful sometimes.
Yeah, it's not very helpful because save warp takes you back to Temple of Time as adult, which is...
Right. I'd like to again bring up, first of all, there are the Gorons doing SRM. But I'd like to bring up again that if anything you've seen today has interested you, piqued your interest of all these cool tricks and neat routing decisions and the races and everything, I cannot recommend bingoing enough. I joined the bingo community in May or June of 2013. And I have never looked back. I have often quit, but I have always come back. Quitting just because of pursuing other projects. But bingo has been a constant part of my speedrunning career for almost a decade now, and I cannot recommend it enough. It's a blast. The community rocks. It's it is inherently a competitive thing, right? There's racing, but at the same time, there is so much collaboration in bingo as far as strats and everything. Everybody helps each other out. It's really great. I can't recommend it enough. And it's such a great way to revisit Ocarina of Time if you've been looking for an interesting way to do that. My recommendation would be to start by joining the Ocarina of Time speedrunning Discord. And you can find information for that on the ocarinaoftimespeedrun.com page. That's a great place to start learning any OOT stuff, and bingo is no difference.
Yeah, we have 2 big races every week, our Saturday night bingos, the original Saturday night bingo, and then one more that was made for more European friendly time. The European one takes place at it's 4 p.m. Eastern time, whatever that is in
It's
more
9 UTC or 8 UTC.
9 UTC, something like that.
Yeah.
And the other one takes place at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time every Saturday. And usually we get a decent number of people joining those races. There's always a good place to learn.
Yeah, and like if you look at these rows and everything just seems like, oh, I could never do that, then again, like there are multiple rows on the board with lots of different like requirements for each goal. You don't have to do, all these goals you can do a bunch of different ways. So like, you don't have to do this full like RBA sequence for any of these goals. Really, you could do this completely casually, right? Like we said before, there's only a handful of goals that actually require you to know glitches. So again, it's just like if you're interested in the game, it's a really unique way to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, if you did a 100% run of this game, you would complete almost every bingo goal.
Yeah,
and 100% is doable glitchless. So, that's always something I thought about in the early days. Like, I'd be like, well, my bingo could never be worse than like 5 hours because that's a 100% run, and that's almost every bingo goal. So,
yeah, like a good player with most rows will get like, I don't know, like anywhere from like a 110 to like a 125. But like, I know my first bingo was like, I think it was like 2 hours 40 or something, and it was a really easy row when I look back on it. It was just a bunch of dungeons, basically, like complete like Beast Shadow, Beast Spirit, or whatever. But
you gotta start somewhere.
You gotta start somewhere. Yeah, it's like you just, a lot of it is pattern recognition. If you see like a similar row you've done before, that was a mash B. He's lucky. Unfortunate. I don't think that's too bad. Moose there just dropped on, he mashed B again here, dropped on Kajiro. So I think now he has, what, 30 bomb bag?
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be bomb bag 30. Does he need...
No, he doesn't need a quiver.
He doesn't need quiver.
Shouldn't be too bad.
So it should be okay.
Yeah, this is, if anything has happened in Moose's race, that should be a lesson to all you young bingo players. Don't mash B through trade quest text boxes. Mash A and C up and press B once at start of text box. Yeah. That is the best advice I can give you. You will never make either of the mistakes that have been made. Yeah. It's tough because the problem, right, is that even if you know that, your heart just wants to mash B. And we all do it all the time. So there's no disrespect here. It is such a common mistake. But if you can, just reset your brain and think, okay, I won't mash B.
Yeah, so Musa getting back to almost where he was before, which that sort of tells you how much time that single, one button press, pressing B once caused all of this, which is, like I say, it's just such a tiny mistake, but it can be catastrophic depending on circumstances. Gligar here entering the Sun Song grave to get Sun Song for one of his 10 songs. Not too much interesting there, just straight up entering, getting the Sun Song and leaving, I imagine. Yeah, it's like one of those, but if you close your eyes, and it's just Moose doing the same thing again.
Oh my god. We're watching how Mutant decides to do the highlight videos in real time.
Yeah.
This is the kind of logic you can expect in the recaps.
Just cut to like a deja vu shot, yeah.
It's already being planned, my god.
You kind of need to look at clips like that though. You got to look at it and go, what can I exploit here that is memeable?
I honestly, the Also choosing to weird shot for this box this time.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, if you can do it unbuffered quicker than you can do the hookshot jump, I'm down. Like,
honestly, so for those that don't know, it's kind of this fun little insular thing that we have in the bingo community. At the end of each week in the bingo tournament, there is a weekly recap where really only the entrants hang out. So it's this cool, fun little community meetup every week during the tournament. And our very own Mutant Aura, who's on comms, makes highlight videos on epic fails and epic wins, but rarely epic wins.
That's not my fault. You guys just don't give me any.
Don't play well.
Yeah, you guys just don't play well. I'm sorry.
Well, I think it's more so we never clip good moments. We only clip bad things. And he does lots of like very epic gamer memes, and it's a good time. It's one of my favorite parts of the tournament, genuinely.
Absolutely. We need to play those after the race is done. I'm sure we have time, right? Just play them all.
It's just me and Premiere just sort of messing with a bunch of different effects I've never used before, I'll be honest. Like, oh, that looks cool. What does that do?
That's the best way to learn in Premiere, and listen to this segue, the best way to learn bingo. Pick rows you don't know how to do and force yourself to learn them.
Not wrong.
Okay, the timer is looking much more lenient this time.
Yes,
yeah,
I like the fact that it started with a 4 and not with a 3 when he left Taipei.
So Gligar is in Forest Temple here just to beat Phantom Ganon, and that's it, so that he can go back in time. That is the only reason he's here.
Yeah, which is why we say sometimes, like, if you're just going back in time for one goal, it feels painful just because, like, the Phantom Ganon requirement when you don't need to be in Forest for anything else is really tough to swallow. Like, all of this is just for Dins, and you've already put in the work of getting magic for Dins. It's just a really long goal. Has a lot of prerequisites, especially if you do it back in time.
Yeah, I don't know. This was a weird card. Like, the last card felt obvious what was fast. This one feels a lot less obvious.
Yeah, because the 10 songs, 8 Heartstar had Keaton Mask that threw us all off. Moosehead just heading back to Forest to trade his potion for the Saw. Like we said earlier, Saw gives you a bunch of songs. Although Moose doesn't actually need the songs here. He's actually looking to continue the trade quest a bit further. So for those of you familiar with the game, once you trade the Saw, they tell you to go give it to the Carpenter in Gerudo Valley, and he gives you the broken knife, and that eventually turns into the real knife, at the the real big Goron sword. But all we're interested in Moose's Row is the broken knife item itself, because that points to your medallions, and you can RBA yourself the game medallions. So like real sort of goals. And luckily enough for us, the light arrow cutscene where you get given light arrows, the only 2 conditions that the game checks to give you light arrows is, do you have Shadow Medallion and do you have Spirit Medallion? And just by luck, 2 of the medallions that you do get through the Broken Saw are Shadow and Spirit. So you can literally just cheese your way to both of those, save walk back to Temple of Time, and the game just says, A-OK, here's your light arrows. So that's the whole reason of Moose doing this really extended section, just getting that broken knife item, and then RBAing himself Shadow and Spirit Medallion, because beating both of those dungeons is a massive time sink.
Fun fact, that was the fastest way to beat Ocarina of Time before Wrong Warp. Before Wrong Warp was found, the fastest way to beat OOT was to RBA the Spirit and Shadow Medallions and then go beat Ganondorf. Okay, we are officially on Moose's stream. We are officially past where he was last time.
Yeah, he's made it back. He's strong of will.
He's fighting this Skull Kid because it drops 200 rupees. It's quite a fast way to get money. Not a lot of people know you can kill that Skull Kid.
Yeah, took its lunch money.
And Gligar is attempting Forest Medallion cutscene skip. This is a scary cutscene skip, I find. Although it's really not that bad.
It just feels scary because there are frame perfect, like there's a couple frame perfect moments, whereas in other cutscene skips, you either don't know they're frame perfect or they aren't.
Yeah, and it's usually only just one. This has at least two.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
like
also
fire
a very,
and shadow are free.
It's also a very long cutscene. If you fail, it's the longest of the medallion cutscenes by quite a bit. Looks like he got it though.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's on good pace considering some of the mistakes and, you know, on paper, unoptimal plays. He still has to get to Spirit, watch the Requiem cutscene, hover to Mirror Shield, and then go back in time. Well, no, he has to get map and compass in water as well, then go back in time. But I guess he's going to RBA Ice Arrows. Which one does that give you? Is it map or is it just compass? You have to get real map, right?
It's the map. The compass you have to get for real.
Yeah. There's still a decent amount of work to do, but decent pace nonetheless.
It looks like he's going to do water right now. I think that's fine, because water map is not that slow, and that way you don't need Ice Arrow. Because you have to go into water anyway for the compass.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't have minded either here, to be honest. The map is just behind the Ruto cutscene, which... I don't know, it's not crazy long, but it is a cutscene nonetheless.
Yeah.
Dude, the will to finish any race is such a big part of being good at bingo, in my opinion. Like, the gamer spirit, not, like, I'm not memeing. The gamer spirit is, like, genuinely important to be good at bingo. You have to be willing to finish the dumb races where stupid stuff happens.
Yeah, it's kind of
it's all a learning curve.
Yeah, it's kind of the difference between a race setting and a normal speedrun setting is you don't get to reset here. You don't have that luxury.
Right. And like, yeah, it feels sucky to like finish a race. You're like, God, that's like 20 minutes slower than it should have been. But at the same time, like, I don't know, you finished a race. That's pretty sick, in my opinion.
So
you toughed it out.
The pro strat is to do meme stuff like child-only bingo, and then you can be impressed with yourself no matter how long you take, because it's just about finishing.
That's some hacks right there. Yeah, or 4 for every race, and then you can never feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
Or feel really good when you finish one.
True. Yeah, just condition yourself to just get any sort of adrenaline at all just by completing one goal.
Get those good chemicals in your brain any way you can. I feel that.
Yeah, just forfeit if you fail West Escape, and then just join a ton of races. Eventually, you'll play well, right?
Wait, you can get back out of bounds in the compass room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, wait, this is gamer technology I was not aware of.
You don't usually fall that far either. You can do, it's not usually that slow as well. I think I may have, you know, I'd never admit this otherwise. I may have called Tim a tryhard for doing it, but it's pretty good. I tried it out myself and realized that it's not very tryhard. But it's just it's only really useful in rows that have map and compass in water. Like outside that, it's just not particularly useful.
Yeah, it's one of those tricks that's specifically useful for one goal only. So you usually, every time you have to use it, you'll be like, I don't remember how to do this, I'll just do it normally. That's what happens to me. That cutscene only soft locks if you're OOB and not over a floor, I believe is how that works.
When to play ZL there to lower the water before realizing that he doesn't need to, he's just getting on that. It's so hard coded that if you're up there, yeah, play ZL.
recently in a bingo, I thought I had a 5-head moment when in reality I had a 0-head moment where I was like, oh, I'll just get the compass and then I'll RBA the map.
0 head deletes the compass.
Yeah, exactly. And then I realized I literally RBA'd the ice arrows. I pressed B to catch and then was like, I think that was a mistake. And it was.
Yeah. Like I say, we said this earlier, like RBA sounds like this really broken, busted like trick that gives you all these items, all these songs for free. But it's so it's definitely like a double-edged sword because you are literally setting things in memory. Like as easily as you can give yourself a fake bomb bag, you can take away anything else. It's literally just setting 1s and 0s. So if you RBA something, you're deleting something else, and you can actually like RBA say a water map or whatever, but that will delete your water compass. If you've got the compass first and then you RBA afterwards, that bit just gets set to 0 and there's nothing you can do about it. So RBA is a trick to be treated with respect and nothing more.
Yeah, in the good old days, in like 2014, rarely did you RBA in bingo. So you never had to come across these circumstances. You were so careful. But now that it's such a ubiquitous tool, we make mistakes all the time.
Yeah, I remember those days before quick draw bottle on B was a thing, and you had to go to the fishing pond if you wanted bottle on B. So you'd use it for light arrows and nothing else, because only thing that was
or
worth
green
it.
gaunts.
Yeah, or the stuff you have to use it for.
And then there'd be like somebody be like, "No, I'm gonna do Lon RBA," and you're like, "No way,
That's so try hard.
Lon RBA, no way, dude. Don't press B and pull that stick."
I would say no one's ever going to pull stick in a bracket, but at this point, I don't want to say anything.
Moose has decided to equip the best tunic.
Excellent.
I unironically like this tunic. There's so much hate for Zora tunic, and I genuinely don't get it.
Yeah, I think all three on the commentators tonight, we are pro Zora tunic, which is exceedingly rare.
It is. I can understand liking another tunic more, but hating this one makes no sense to me. It's so good.
Blue tunic with silver gauntlets and Hylian shield is the best combo in the game, and I will not hate anything against it.
I will say that having Goron tunic and mirror shield is really good too. But yeah, Zora tunic, silver gaunts, Hylian shield is like absolutely goated.
Personally, I'm partial to the Kokiri tunic, Kokiri sword, and Deku shield combination.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
A child bingo. Enjoy.
the old classic. Okay, so yeah, Moose just did a little push there into the heart piece. It's surrounded in ice, but luckily Link has a lot of tools in his kit to just sort of bypass almost anything. Stabbing a wall here being enough. The bomb just being placed to stop Link recoiling in that direction. It has a hitbox of its own, and it will push Link. It's used in a few other places.
Used again? Oh, no, never mind. Triple slash clip.
No, triple slash clip. That's relatively new as well. Brought over from OT 3D, where they used to use it for almost everything. It's now been brought over in the form of pulling hook shot. It's used in a few places. That's the main one to save the bomb.
People saying they only dislike Zora tunic because ZFG says so. Look, I'll listen if ZFG does a bingo.
Yeah.
We've been trying to get ZFG to bingo for about 10,000 years.
Yeah,
One day,
he used
maybe.
to enter races, but nah, he's a rando main now.
We lost another hero. I've had some people come into my chat recently and ask if they like rando, if they should try bingo, and I think the answer is absolutely yes. Because like they scratch a somewhat similar itch in like it's a new way to experience OOT. And I would say that if you are doing like especially no logic stuff, you've probably learned a few of the requisite tricks already. I mean, the quick answer is just any time is a good time to learn bingo, no matter who you are.
Yeah, I would think if you're doing glitchless randos, the skill set is quite different.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you won't enjoy it.
Yeah, I think at the same time, the requirements to finish are very different. But if you play OOT like regularly in rando, like movement is really important. You hemorrhage movement time everywhere as a beginner. You'll look at a lot of other players. They'll do a similar row to you, and they'll save like 10 minutes. And you look at yourself and go, "How are they saving so much time?" And it's usually movement. And if you've been playing the game for long enough in a rando setting, that's got to be something that you're already somewhat competent with. So, like, it's those basic things that transfer so well. You might not know the tricks, you might not know where everything in the game is, but like just controlling Link, I think, is the first hardship.
We just had a box Wasteland Hess on screen, by the way.
Yep. I tried to.
No, it's beautiful.
Not look at it.
It's beautiful, baby. It's beautiful. Don't disparage this.
No, it's rare to see these days, but the novelty never dies.
Also, very little left to do for Gligar here. Just gonna Spirit Hover up to the Mirror Shield, and then just has to go back in time for Dins. So maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah,
10 maybe.
I honestly, let me think. So Requiem's about a minute and a bit. He's already probably 30 seconds in. So.
And then you've got Spirit Hover, which can be done in like a minute and a half, 60 seconds.
Yeah.
And then you have to skip the Prelude cutscene.
Yep. Do it twice.
So that's like
basically, yeah.
It's like 2 minutes.
I mean, if you're doing the new Zoomer quick strat, I guess you can probably do both in about. I mean, if you warp that like from the pedestal, if you're crazy quick, you can probably do both in about a minute 30. Yeah. If you're crazy good, like if you're gonna buffer or do the old strat, whatever, it might take a bit longer. And then Dins is. Oh, this could be. I don't think it's gonna be a sub 110, but it could be close to like 111. Which would be a ridiculous time.
Yeah,
No, he has he doesn't have to. Since he has Big Goron Sword, he can do the really fast clip if he knows it through Door of Time.
True.
I don't know. That's like an OG Hundo strat. I don't know if he knows it, but it's really fast.
Yeah. It's really simple.
Prelude, but yeah. Definitely do that for the second time. Gligar is a bit of a zoomer though. I wouldn't put it past him to know the new Prelude cutscene skip, which is very fast, and then if he knows the Big Goron like clip, which is very easy as well. Yeah, I can see this being a really good time. What's his PB? This could actually be a PB.
His PB is not sub 110.
Yeah, let me actually look at the.
I think it's like a 115 or something.
Is there a leaderboard? Have a look. Yeah, I'll look at the race time leaderboard for Bingo just to see, because I think this might be a PB for Gligar if he continues this pace.
He's playing it so safe on this Spirit Hover. He does not want that Gwei to mess him up.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Okay, so no, he has a 105. Wait, what?
Wait, really? Are you sure that's not short?
I don't know. It might be. Yeah, that's the problem with race time, is that it doesn't differentiate. It says 105 here, but I don't know whether that's short bingo or not. We can ask him afterwards anyway.
Regardless, it'll be fast.
Yeah.
Very much.
Nice clean Spirit Hover there. Again,
nice.
that trick is a bit of a staple, but it's still hard. And yeah, it's one of those things that, again, you just kind of learn over time.
Not equipping Big Goron Sword here. I feel like probably we're not going to see the triple, it's not a triple slash clip, but you do press B 3 times.
Triple stab clip.
Triple stab, there you go.
Yeah, this is really close. I'm very interested to see this. He's also got to get to Dins and then play ZL and wait for the cutscene. So it's not going to be sub 110, but close enough. And the old setup, so a bit more time loss here.
Yeah, he's doing the Exodus.
The boomer.
Yeah. This is, I will say though, this particular setup does make Prelude skips so free. Yes. Whereas if he did the Big Goron skip one, he might not know. Since he has Sun Song and Warp Songs, he can skip. But that's another strat that I feel like not many people these days know, is the thing where you like equip hover boots and run in to the prelude cutscene and then play Ocarina at the same time.
Oh, does that work with just equipping hover boots?
Yep. You just equip hover boots and run in and press Ocarina. This is like a 2015 hundo strat.
Yeah. I was gonna say, my usually way is to OI into the cutscene trigger to do that.
That works too.
Yeah, so to draw our attention away from Gligar Moose here, we mentioned earlier that Bongo is a really quick boss to do for these 8 hearts goals. Getting 8 hearts just through heart pieces is very difficult. So some bosses are usually required, and Bongo is one of the staple bosses to do in this. It's usually Bongo and maybe one other. See what you've got in your row. If you've got nothing else, usually Morpher. But if you've got any sort of Deku synergy, Fire synergy, you might choose to do other bosses. But Bongo is usually a 100% guarantee.
Yeah, Bongo is fast because of the trick that you just saw Moose do, which is boat key skip, which is quite a difficult trick. It involves basically, I think it's a bomb push. It is a bomb push, right? To push yourself through the wall. I'm not quite sure how it works.
Yeah, it's a double bomb push clip. You or mega flip into the. Well, yeah, there's the way where you mega flip off the chest, which is different. That's going into the acute angle on the texture on the ground.
That's a ground clip, yeah.
Yeah, but the bomb push clip is like the common method. Also, just like last race, unfortunately, we'll probably finish around when Gligar finishes, just because we're already a little over time. And so we'll continue watching Moose's screen on our end, but we'll probably finish the restream on Gligar, only because there is another GDQ show on after us. I don't want to make them wait too long, but because we're already 5 minutes over. But we'll keep watching for a little bit. But yeah, this is it. Just mashing here for Gligar now.
Just mashing, and then he gets dinned, and it's all over. Which
this is honestly, a 111.
Yeah, good time. Really good time.
This is actually interesting for tournament standings, I feel like. Depending on his win-loss ratio.
Could push the median down as well. Yeah, I mean, we should say, so the tournament is like, it's based on, like, you get 3 points for a win, and if there are, like, tiebreakers, or I think the final 3 places in top 16, it's decided by your median time over the round, so even if you lose a race, it's still advantageous to finish, because, like, finish as low as possible, because sometimes your median could be important, but that's a GG.
GG.
Crazy time.
Moose
1:11:35.
Moose forfeit.
Moose is opted to forfeit.
Yeah,
I think I
respect
fair.
it. Yeah, I can respect that.
Well, they made the choice for us, so I don't have to be like, we're done. So that's nice. Thank you, Moose. Huge GGs to both players, though. I think we were definitely on pace to see a really captivating race with how Moose was playing. It's very unfortunate, obviously, what happened. But, this is a tournament race. Things like this happen. And whether or not it's on a showcase is neither here nor there. I would like to thank all 4 players we had on this evening. That's Apasher, Link11, Wicked Gligar, and Moose OOT for all putting on an amazing show. It is so hard to execute on any GDQ stage, let alone to do a tournament match. So all 4 of them, excellent work. And thank you, of course, to Shaggy and Mutant for joining me. Really appreciate it. The both of you have done an excellent work commentating this evening, and I couldn't have done it without you.
Well, thank you for having us. You did a decent job yourself, I think.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, man.
We all did great.
Shaggy, Mutant, anything either of you would like to plug?
Not really. I think
just bingo.
Yeah, join bingos. Try out bingo.
Follow the players that you've seen today.
Twitch. I'll post all the links in the. I'll post all the Twitch links for our racers in the chat. Please do follow them. They're all great bingo players. And yeah, everybody you saw on the call as well, Shaggy and Mutant and I, we all bingo too. The best way to stay up to date on bingo stuff is to join OOT Discords. So the OOT Speedrunning Discord is a great place to jump off and get into bingo. I can't recommend it enough. And please, please, please try out bingo if this interested you even a little bit. I promise you won't regret it. And the very worst thing that happens is you have fun playing OOT once.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's going to be it from us for Challenger Approaching tonight. But there is more GDQ content coming up right after this, gamers. Stick around. Some quick announcements as we fade out here. Frame Fatales will be having its next all-women speedrunning event, Flame Fatales, from August 21st to the 27th. The marathon schedule is now out. Type !FF in Twitch chat or go to gamesdonequick.com/framefatales for more info. Prize submissions are now open until Sunday the 14th. Check the site for more information. Tomorrow and Sunday is One and Doneathon, which is a really fun speedrunning marathon we showcase here on GDQ. And the schedule is out right now. !OADAT in Twitch chat to learn more. And gamers, stick around. We have Legally Cute coming up right after this, which is a show all about cute and cozy speedruns. So there is more speedrunning happening on your GDQ stream right after this. Thanks for watching.